What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream of Let's Get Nuts here on the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back, guys. We got a big show for you and some special guests. I haven't seen one of these guests here in a little while, and then of course we got our good regular here as well. So guys, we're going to talk Hot Toys news, we're going to talk some entertainment news, Fantastic Four. I've got a list of old, kind of shitty movies. I'm curious what the guys are going to say are like their favorite from the list. I also saw a Mars Toys post, and I want to go through it because there's a lot of really cool community suggestions in there, and I'm curious to see what you guys are going to say. So, of course, with that said, let's get nuts.
What are you doing? You're completely outnumbered here. Are you nuts? You want to get nuts? You want to get nuts?
You want to get nuts?
You want to get nuts? You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
Alrighty. So, like I said, we have a guest here I haven't actually seen in a while. He and I occasionally will stream, and you know, we see some lovely banter on the Facebook and all those things, but I freaking love this guy, and so he is back. It is 16fix Marco G. How are you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Ben, thanks for having me back. You know, you did put me on a permanent ban, and there was a whole process that everything went through to determine that I was nuts enough to come back. So, no, really looking forward to this. And yeah, now that football's over, hope I can be on more often.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. We are happy to have you here. We got a good show. And because I haven't talked to you about some of these things, I'm excited to hear what your take is. So, and I missed Bargain Bin Bros on Friday. You guys do it so early in the morning. I'm at
the
work
worst
meetings.
Time for you.
It's the worst. So, and I want to get back to it because I loved the new intro. If you guys on the chat for some reason missed Bargain Bin Bros on Friday morning, go back and check it out. It's a new Mortal Kombat inspired intro. It's super cool, dude.
Thanks,
cool.
buddy. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
It was a fun project to work on.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. We're going to get nuts today for sure. We also have the money. Eddie Money Mendez here with us from Instamade Media on Instagram. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome back.
Well, what's up, guys? Happy Sunday. Yeah. 3-day weekend for me and Marco. I don't know if it is
for me
for
too.
You,
yeah.
Okay,
they call it Family Day here on Monday. So.
Oh, nice.
Family Day. Yeah. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it. I'm going to go into the mountains, I think, tomorrow, if I get an opportunity. See how it's all going out there because it's beautiful weather.
Some mushrooms? Huh? Is that what you're gonna...
No, probably not. Unfortunately, I got to drive the work car, which is a big bright yellow car with painters all over it. So it's not too under the radar, if you know what I'm saying. So no,
knock on wood, not. But if you get lost, you'll be easy to find at the very least. So.
I know, eh? It's true. Guys, great to have you here. It does sound like Calvin, aka the Low-Key Collector, is going to be jumping in here shortly. He's got his lady. She's got him out grocery shopping, I think. And I know how that was back when I had a permanent lady who had to take me grocery shopping. Hate to see it. So enjoy it while you're out there, buddy. Hopefully we'll see Kelvin in here shortly. Guys, as always, I always like to get warmed up with Let's Get Nuts. And Marco, you actually contributed this slide this week, and so I wanted to include it. Let's pull up the slides here. And we'll say hi to the chat here in a couple minutes because we see lots of people rolling in. We'll say hi to you guys in just a couple minutes. Let's see here. So let's get nuts.
I will just say, the warm nuts, the absolute best. Shout out Buc-ee's. Like, dude, just the smell, the taste.
Even if they had gluten in them, I was like, okay, I got to try those. And they were real. I can't even describe it. Like sweet and salty, but in the nicest way possible.
Heavenly.
If you know, you know. So, guys, this slide here, looking at Madam Web. Now, I haven't actually seen Madam Web yet. I know a couple of us out in the community have. Try not to spoil it in the chat if you can avoid it. We're not going to talk any spoilers today. I wanted to see this poster because it leads me into my warm-up question for you guys. It says here on the slide, an embarrassing mess, a series of misses, false shorts, it was bad, clunky, poorly written, Morbius was better. We're talking about Madam Web. And I'm like, man... There's been a few movies in my life that I would say I love them because they're so bad they're good. And I'm kind of hoping this might actually classify as that for me at some point. But Marco, you gave us this list this week, and it says here on the slide the lowest rated Marvel movies, and it shows all of these different percentages. And I kind of looked at this list and I was like, damn, there are some clunkers on this list. But what's my favorite clunker on this list? What's my favorite of the worst? So honestly, this was actually kind of hard, because if it's the Punisher, it doesn't give us a date. If it's the Thomas Jane Punisher, I actually think that would be my favorite on this list. I loved that film back in the day. Even Punisher Warzone with Ray Stevenson was actually really good too. But they call this the Punisher. I'm assuming it's that Thomas Jane one. If that's the case, I think that would be my pick, and I would love a 6-scale figure of him. I think Ghost Rider would be my runner-up. Though, if it's not the same Punisher. Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage, if that's the original one they're talking about here, it was still a hellishly fun movie. So Marco, you gave us the list, buddy. What's your pick here? Best of the worst.
Yeah, so I will say Blade Trinity is one of those. I haven't revisited that film in many, many years, but the first time I watched it, and maybe the only time, I had fun with it. Like, there's Ryan Reynolds in there, Jessica Biel, Have Mercy. I think that it wasn't a good film, but just for whatever they were going for, which was overly ambitious, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of an entertaining time. So maybe if I rewatched it today in 2024, I might be like, no, it's actually just complete ass. But, you know, for the time I watched it, it was a fun film.
I had a great time with that film actually as well. Totally agree with that. It got a lot of hate. And I think because people wanted it to be a Midnight Sun style film, and it wasn't necessarily that feeling. But it was cool. It was definitely really cool. Even selling Ryan Reynolds is top form.
Exactly. In different, I guess, tone a bit than the first two. So definitely I could get why folks did not enjoy it. And looking through the rest of this list, I think all of these could all go to me. Honestly, X-Men Dark Phoenix, I had high hopes. I had extremely high hopes. And even after Apocalypse, I was like, okay, they're going to rebound. Oh gosh, what very bizarre decisions that film made. And I'm really curious to see Madam Web, because I think it might be similar, where it's just like, okay, just really bizarre stuff has happened, but it could make for just a fun time at the movies. So might go watch it tomorrow on the day off. We'll see.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Eddie, same question for you, good sir. Best of the worst on this list. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a tie between Blade Trinity and the Punisher. I like both.
You could
of
actually
those.
just retitle this to Eddie's favorite films, because anything that's at the bottom of the barrel, he loves them. So.
Actually, I was thinking about that. I actually don't like some of these. Like, I hated X-Men Dark Phoenix. I wanted to like Morbius, but that was really bad. I've never seen Elektra, which is crazy, because I do love the Daredevil movie, and I love Jennifer Garner as Elektra. So
that Daredevil movie was actually fun too.
Fantastic Four, the 2015 one, I want to like that a lot more, and I like it up until Doom. They really, really screwed Doom, and that whole fight at the end sucked, and that's where it loses me. But until then, like, I love the cast. I liked everything until then, and then it drops off for me. So I don't. And Howard the Duck, I'm surprised that's even on here, because that's like a super old movie. That's good.
That's the one I haven't seen. It's the only film on this list I haven't seen. So I'm like, I don't know.
It would be classified as fun for you people that like to describe movies as fun. I kind of hate that description for a movie, but
it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, we'll see. I think I'm gonna go see Madam Web today. I don't imagine how it could be worse than Morbius, but I don't really have I don't have any expectations for it, because I don't really know any of the characters or what it's about. Like, I just know they're Spider-Man characters. I guess it's like a prequel to Spider-Man, like it's based before Spider-Man, but like, I don't have any preconceived notions or anything about it, so I don't see how that could ruin it for me, but we'll see, I guess.
Eddie, to your point though, there's no way that it could be worse than Venom: Let There Be Carnage.
That should be on here for sure.
Oh god,
I'm surprised it's not.
Terrible. And not even like in a fun, terrible way, just like this is just...
Probably because it still exists in the Sony verse, right? Whereas they're saying this is kind of that Marvel cross anyways. I didn't realize that X-Men... No, sorry. What was I going to say? No, actually, I think I realized all these were on the Marvel list. Now that I say that. Yeah, no. Blade Trinity, I think maybe I was thinking wasn't, but Blade's a Marvel villain hero, so I don't know why I would have thought that. So, guys... Great warm-up. Thank you for entertaining as always. We got a lot of entertainment news to talk about today, and then quite a bit of figure news I'm excited to get with you guys here. So I think what we should do is, of course, say hello to our lovely chat.
Is that everyone? I
Nuts!
Assemble.
Guys, let's start with the Tough Nut crew. Of course, the membership over here on the Ben Thomas Show. We got Alvin J, Collecting Weekly Money, Mendez, 6 Scale Mafia, Katera, Feces Figures, King Dingaling, Sith Scale Collector, Paul Schreiber, The Batman, The Movie Canon, 1 6-Figure Focus, SpongeBob SquareBalls, The _ Empire Strikes, Peter Cass, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Gist, 14 Wellington, Jose G. Hernandez, 12-Inch Moose Stream, Collection Obsession, and Blurred Dad Life. That is hard to say that quickly, and the more members that add, I'm going to mess it up one of these days real bad.
That's a lot of nuts in your mouth, for sure.
That's a lot of nuts in the mouth.
Wow, that was good.
Let's check in with the chat. We got 41 people here. Thanks so much for watching on a Sunday, guys. Love to see you here. We got Noble Young. Good to see you, buddy. We got X-Men Supreme. Nuts, he says. We got Thalia Meyer. Hey, everyone. Sith Scale Collector, one of our members. What's up, fellas? With some nut fun. You'll love to see it. We got the _ Empire Strikes member here as well, saying hi to the gang. Good to see you here. Money Mendez himself, of course. We got the one and only 12-Inch Moose Dream in the chat, and I just saw on Facebook he's got a brand new beard cut going on there, boys. Looking very crispy, so good to see you here, buddy. We got, who else? Oh, Loco Lou in the chat with a what's poppin', people? Hopefully I do that with some faith for you, good sir. We got Thalia Meyer in the chat. We got Community Arcade here. Feeling nutty. Hello, friends. Good to see you here, buddy. Let's see. We got Mark P in the chat. Wow. Hello, Sunday collectors. What's going on? What did I miss?
What was that? Nothing.
Continue. We got Jose G, Hernandez himself, Jose Plus. Hopefully we'll get you back here on Let's Get Nuts pretty soon, buddy. Good to see you here. We got Jazzy in the chat. What's up, boys? Good to see you here, man. X-Men Supreme says Howard the Duck is a treasure. I should definitely watch that at some point. I will put it on the list. We have Denobi 2 himself here. He says, I still love Jessica Alba Fantastic Four. The second one, nope. The dance scene, yikes. I love to see it there. We also have
Jessica
our
Alba's beautiful regardless, blonde or brunette, but
and,
yeah, the fact that they, anyways.
I dug the Silver Surfer storyline as well. I'm excited to see what happens, for sure. We got 6 Scale Mafia, the member himself here as well. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're feeling better, back on your feet, and staying strong. We love you, good sir. Thanks for joining in. We got Batman _ Collectibles here. What's up, folks? Badass picture. Love to see it. Tremble Dust himself, one of my Star Trek buddies out there in the world. Live long and prosper, good sir. We got Derecus Maximus. Hello, fellow nerds. Good to see you here, buddy. And we've got Ryan Smith. I think, guys, I got everybody. I will put up the member slide here later. If you're interested in becoming a member, I will put it in the chat as well. $1.99, and you get to become one of the Tough Nut crew. And watch me try and say your name quickly at the beginning and end of every show, and it of course contributes. I love you guys. Let's get into the show here. So we had last week, of course, the Super Bowl, and they finally showed the Deadpool 3, or Deadpool and Wolverine is now what it's coined and called, the teaser. And a lot of people absolutely loved the teaser. A lot of people felt like, I was expecting more. Now, we've talked about the show or this upcoming film quite a few times because I think hype is a dangerous thing. When you start to hype things up so much in your mind, I don't know if it'll ever meet the expectations that you have. I actually felt that way about my in-art Joker. Heath Ledger being like my favorite character. I wanted it to be perfect, and when I got it in hand, as much as I love that figure, don't get me wrong, it's still not quite perfect, and I'm still feeling that chase, that burn to find that next one.
Thank God for Jandy.
Thank God for Jandy. Oh God, what a gamble! What a horrible gamble with my money. We'll see how it goes. For those that don't know, I ordered the Type A figure, and I'm probably going to regret it, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll bring it on Let's Get Nuts Sunday, maybe, when I get it. I think it's dangerous to hype shit up too much in your mind. So for me, I do that all the time. This is part of the reason I don't watch movie trailers most of the time. When I saw this, I felt slightly underwhelmed. However, still excited. And still optimistic. But the more I've sat with it, the more I've thought about it, the more I'm thinking collectibles from it and what this could do for film next year or this year in terms of billion-dollar box office, cross our fingers. A revival of Marvel, maybe, who knows? So, Marco, I want to start with you. What did you think of the trailer? Clearly, this picture on the left is a joke, but you could also see Deadpool at some point looking at screens with the twerk from the She-Hulk as well. So, what are your thoughts on the trailer briefly? And is there at least one figure here that you're like most excited to put in the collection?
I thought it was a perfect teaser, honestly. It gave us kind of the general sense of what the tone may be, which is shock. It's a Deadpool film, and obviously including the TVA, which I maybe kind of thought would occur, but I think it's a perfect kind of marriage of Loki, which I know Eddie loves, I love as well, and Deadpool. Like, what a interesting combination.
It's true.
They didn't give us too much of the plot, though, right? I think we have a general sense of what it may be, but they didn't come, right out and tell us like exactly all the points that they're going to hit, which I think is perfect. I think I'm okay not seeing any more trailers, honestly. We're all in. Whether we were like, expected something different from Deadpool 3. And I love Deadpool 2, honestly. I enjoyed the second one even more than the first film, which is a classic as well. So I think that this kind of hit all the marks for me. In terms of figures, I think Wolverine with the 90s inspired costume, even though we're getting the Hono Studios version, come on, with the Hugh Jackman sculpt, I cannot wait to complain about that and how the beard isn't dark enough and all the shit we're going to say about it. But, we're all going to get it at the end of the day. So yeah. I think that's the one that I'm most hyped over.
Mark, to coin you over at, of course, the She Said No podcast, is it weird that I've had my finger over the cancel button for the Hono Studios Wolverine now for a while?
Yeah. Not weird at all,
I don't know if I need it, man. I don't know if I need it.
X-Men 97's coming out.
Right.
This film is coming out. We're going to get that suit, played in so many different figures that, we know Present Toys is doing it. What is it? So still hasn't done their Wolverine. So I think you'd be okay canceling Hono. You can't have too many Wolverines in that, inspired costume for me personally. So I'm getting it, but I could see where you're coming from.
And it's so low in cost compared to what we normally collect that I'm like, I feel silly not keeping it, because at the very least I could do what I did with my original So Flash, which was have it for a while, enjoy it for a while, sell it on. Got I think $100 back. It wasn't like a ton. It wasn't a huge loss, I should say. Still could put it towards something else. I don't know. Eddie, what were your thoughts on the trailer here? Do you feel like you overhyped it to yourself? Was it kind of within the expectation range that you had? And is there one figure from this that you're most excited to collect if they give you the opportunity?
I loved the teaser. I didn't overhype myself, but I don't think I do overhype myself. I don't know if it's a recency thing, but I don't think even back when I was younger, I don't think I overhyped myself for trailers. I can get my hopes up, and I don't know if that's different or not, but yeah, overhype has never really been a thing for me. Maybe slightly with Deadpool 2. I loved the first one so much. I went in and I didn't love the second one as much as everybody else did. It was cool. It's more Deadpool and there was funny stuff that happened in it for sure. But some of it was a little too goofy for me. There's a fine line that you can cross to go from funny to just butt jokes. And that bugs me. And there was butt jokes in Deadpool 2. So this one, I did love the teaser though. I loved everything about it. I couldn't understand what people wanted. They wanted to see all of the spoiler stuff in the trailer, I guess, or they wanted a little bit more of a Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds back and forth wordplay or whatever. Maybe they wanted that,
or what Deadpool's mission is, right? We don't know any of that stuff, which I'm perfectly fine not even knowing.
I think that's where I was. Is just not really. I don't feel like I have a total sense of what the story will be. Even obviously the TVA's in there. I think this is post Loki season 2, so I think that's one of the reasons for some of their costume change. It was weird for me. I don't normally watch a trailer back to back, but I watched it 3 times back to back just to make sure I tried to catch everything. Eddie, you mentioned something the other day that I thought was interesting. I think it was on Bargain Bin Bros. I could be wrong, but that you were thinking that Deadpool 3, if we get that as a suit from Hot Toys, it needs to include a hamburger head version of Ryan Reynolds. That could set it apart, and I thought that was a really good thought, because I have the Deadpool 2 one and I love that figure, And while the new one definitely has kind of a cleaner look to it, it's still pretty darn similar. That could be something that would get me to pull the trigger, I think.
I also think there's going to be a lot of different versions of Deadpool that we get that they will do Hot Toys of. Like,
that'd be cool.
I think we've seen that he has different outfits in the movie. I think we could get 2 different outfit versions of him, and then I also think there's going to be like Headpool, Kidpool, Lady Deadpool, like. So I think there's going to be a ton of just Deadpool Hot Toys that we get from it.
That'd be cool. Guys, let us know what you think in the chat. What's the one figure you just have to have from this film? If you only get one, Marco gave 5 the other day, which I thought was very generous, by the way. I can't even think of 5 names of people that I like most of the time. So I'm just kidding. I love all you guys.
Not the 2 people on here. That's for
no,
sure.
Definitely not these guys. No, honestly, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this film. I can't wait to see a little bit more, but I'm kind of with you, Marco. I might not actually watch any more trailers if I can avoid it, and just go in totally blind and see. Talking about feeling a little blinded, on Valentine's recently, and happy Valentine's Day to you boys, by the way. I hope you had fun just either existing in your life or with your ladies, whatever.
I thought this was going to be a Daredevil transition, but okay.
It wasn't a Daredevil transition, yeah. But I did see what looked to me like a Valentine's Day card pop up from Marvel. And I was kind of excited, I'm not going to lie. We've been like fan casting Fantastic Four for a little while. All of us kind of knew it was on the horizon. It seemed to me that Pedro Pascal was kind of the one that felt the most confirmed. I kept seeing, I keep wanting to call him Eddie, but the guy from Stranger Things cast as Johnny Storm. Thank you. She's like mind meld here. You hate to see it. Johnny Storm, I think that would have been a cool casting, but I was like, I don't know, it just seems like fan casting at this point. Nothing's confirmed. We'd seen a couple of different fan castings for Sue Storm, and I kind of liked them all. I would have been cool with any of them, but I'm really loving the picks here. So next slide, of course, is the actors who are now confirmed on the left for the new upcoming Fantastic Four. Clearly the look of it is period piece, kind of somewhere in the 60s. So I'm curious to know if this whole film is going to exist as a period piece, or are they going to find a way to bring them forward in time, similar to how we saw with Captain America, a family out of time as opposed to just a hero out of time. It could be really cool. But Marco, what are your thoughts, dude, on the casting for the film? Are you happy with it? And do you have any theories on this Fantastic Four, like what we might expect?
I will say, I understand that people are, a little upset about Pedro being the lead here, right? We do see him in everything. I just think the guy is so likable. He does play very similar characters, but he's just so like almost inoffensive. Like he's like a perfect plug and play if you need someone that's going to be just a solid addition to a cast and bring a lot of credibility. I think he's great. I think in The Last of Us he was really strong, but it wasn't like, oh, he's so dang good that's my definitive Joel. It's just like, oh, Pedro stepped into the role really perfectly. So I will say Cousin Richie as the Thing, amazing casting. Like that's the one that I'm most hyped about. Vanessa Kirby, let me say this about her: she is so beautiful that she's just beautiful, straight up, like just a conventionally gorgeous human being. So yeah, why not her? I think she was really good in the Mission Impossible films as well. And then the guy from Stranger Things, I think that's the one that I'm most iffy about, but I trust Marvel when it comes to their casting. So this seems great. I think the way that they announced it was perfect too. It wasn't like I don't know, it was just like a perfect way to do it. I wouldn't have thought that would be the case, but it was great. And yeah, so I think that this Fantastic Four is just going to be such a crucial part of the MCU moving forward. Like we really need them and Deadpool and the X-Men to kind of pull us back into, the run that we were on prior to the end of Endgame, basically. So I think with Deadpool and with this casting announcement, I'm feeling the Marvel juice like coming back. It's like, okay, I'm thinking things are steering in the right direction. And in terms of the story, yeah, I don't know. I'm not as much of a Fantastic Four head, but but yeah, just Doctor Doom's obviously going to be a part of it. Doctor Doom's somehow going to play in the Secret Wars. So I think the timing is perfect to introduce all of them. And I think it's going to be last thing I'll say, the period piece aspect. I know people have speculated for a long time. I think that's spot on. And I think that's a great way to do it, honestly.
Well said, dude. Well said. All great points, for sure. I'm seeing some interesting comments because I've seen this sentiment out in the world as well. Derek's Maximus says here, call me crazy, but I'm not excited about the Fantastic Four casting. Not the first time I've seen that either. And I'm on the excited side. I feel everything you said, Marco, totally. I agree with a lot of it. Eddie, why do you think people are feeling that way, though? Like Derek is there. Why do you think that they're not as excited about this Fantastic Four casting? And what were your thoughts here? Were you excited about the announcement?
I'm not excited, and I don't hate it. I'm kind of, sorry, Ben. It's a nothing burger for me.
Oh, it is okay.
Really compelling.
I like Pedro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like him as Mr. Fantastic. Actually, out of all the four on the right there, I think Pedro's the least exciting as Mr. Fantastic. He's a good actor, and I don't doubt that he'll do a good job. It's just I don't like seeing him as Mr. Fantastic. But that could be the fact that I'm pissed that Krasinski wouldn't sign a contract to play him because I thought he was a perfect cast. But yeah, and then the other ones, like, I didn't watch Stranger Things, so the Eddie casting, like, he looks like Johnny Storm to me, so that's cool, I guess. I have no idea on his acting skills. I do know the girl from other movies. She seems like a perfect casting to me. Like, she looks exactly like Sue, so that's cool. And then the guy playing the Thing, I'll take Margot's word for it. That one probably is the least exciting because he doesn't look like what I would fan cast the Thing in my head. Like, I guess he could because he's a guy that grew up, he grew up poorly and he like had to fight a lot and he has brothers that kind of picked on it. So he grew up scrapping a lot, and so I guess I could see that in this casting with this guy. But part of it saves me is like he's only gonna be his face for like part of the film, and then other than that it's his voice, so it doesn't really matter that much. But
will it even be his face for part of the film? Because like even with this spoiler here, this teaser, they might start him as the Thing, right? And maybe a flashback for sure, but
I don't know how I feel about the 60s thing. Like, it's cool, I like movies in that time period, but they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot with their timeline. And I don't know if that, like, this is already into the multiverse and like something already changed in the timeline, so it's kind of like, how are they gonna keep this base? Because isn't Captain Marvel like close to the 60s, the first one, and then Captain America is like literally 10 years after. It's like 10 years after Captain America, so it's like I don't know, the whole timeline thing, they just keep screwing that shit up more and more. So
I'm also wondering if it's not on the main timeline. And, like, I don't want to give it away without a spoiler for the Marvels, but there is a scene at the end of that film, and I won't give the scene away, but it does kind of show potentially an alternate level of reality, like an Earth adjacent, right? And if that's the case, maybe that's where they're starting these folks. Maybe that's why we haven't really heard of them from the past.
One thing that really bugs me when they do stuff like this, and it's just one of those things where you could just not think about it, but unless it is in another timeline or another multiverse kind of thing, it's like, that means they were around for everything and they're one of the most important teams. It's like, where were they for Thanos?
Or they were trapped in like the quantum realm or something, right?
That bugs the hell out of me.
I don't think that they would have. Yeah, well, the Eternals, I hated what they did with the Eternals, where they kind of wrote that off. They weren't
allowed to intervene.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily buy that, so I see what you're saying. Go ahead.
Now, what I enjoy about the 60s look, though, is also the bright colors of the Fantastic Four, the look of the Thing from like a 60s style like timeline. I feel like the iconography for the artwork for Fantastic Four always reminds me of like older times, which I think is part of the reason I didn't love the suits for these two Fantastic Four movies you see above. Like, yeah, sure, they look like modernized Fantastic Four suits, but they don't have the same like oomph as the originals do, and that color scheme. And I think as collectibles, this new team could look amazing in a display. Like, just the color of the blue, even with the orange of the Thing, I think that could be crispy. But what were you gonna say, Eddie?
Another thing, like, depending on how they do the Secret Wars, like, Spider-Man is a big part of the Secret Wars, and if they're in the 60s and Tom Holland is in now time, it's like, what are they going to do there? Also, Tom Holland doesn't want to play Spider-Man anymore, so are they just not going to have Spider-Man in Secret Wars? Or there's a lot more questions with this than there is with Deadpool and Wolverine, which is like one of those things where I'm like, how are people so excited from a picture of this and underwhelmed by a teaser of Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, I got more from that than I do from this. So it's just one of the
probably
things that
just because
confused
there's
me.
less to criticize, right? Like,
I guess.
you know, the more they give us, the more that we can kind of nitpick. But other thing I wanted to say is I think this is the same, or the guy that's directing this was the showrunner for WandaVision, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I think that's a perfect fit. If you're going to make it a period piece, I think he could really knock it out of the park, honestly. So I'm incredibly excited about this one.
Cool. Yeah, and again, I think all of us reserve the right to be wrong. If the story ends up being shit, it doesn't matter how good the casting is, how good the actresses are. I think people are saying that even with regards to Madam Web right now. As I said, it's almost like it's not the actress's fault the movie is bad. And like that's a surprising message to keep seeing, right? But if the writing isn't there, then it doesn't matter how well cast or not it is. If it's done well, I think they could convert me. I didn't really see Pedro as Joel for The Last of Us. I love The Last of Us games. I would have loved Nathan Fillion as Joel, even like almost anybody else. But I didn't. You don't like that? Oh man, Nathan Fillion's awesome. Drake as well. But I think he could be great. So I'm hoping for the best. But guys, let us know, of course, what your thoughts are if you're watching on replay. We'd love to hear from you guys. Are you excited about the Fantastic Four casting? Not as excited. These last couple Fantastic Four movies haven't done that great, but I think this one could be different. So let's cross our fingers at this point. Guys, with that said, let's move on to X-Men 97. So I'm really excited that I've got Marco on this show specifically for X-Men, because I know for you, Marco, X-Men, the animated series, is huge from your childhood. The toys, the show, just kind of everything involved with it, right? And it's something that you bring to your collection to this very day, which I think is awesome. This popped up this week, X-Men 97, the trailer from Disney. And I'm not going to share the trailer because I've been demonetized the last 3 Let's Get Nuts at this point for showing too many clips. So I can't show too many more clips. But it's a really cool trailer. It looks like it pretty much picks up right where the original animated series leaves off. In my opinion, the animation style is pretty on point. I have seen some pictures of Rogue's butt floating around that looks less overwhelming as it used to, but I don't know. I didn't pay that close attention to that aspect of it. But I think it looks amazing, and I think the voice work, I know they've got some original voice actors back. I think that's really, really great. So to be honest, I'm going to go back and rewatch all of the X-Men, the animated series on Disney. It's inspired me to go back and watch it episode for episode all the way through. And that is a commitment, folks. I will tell you, it has a lot of episodes, and they don't feel necessarily short. I've tried doing it a couple times in the last 10 years, and I've only got through about half. So commitment, going to go through all the way and then watch this.
How many
I think it
seasons
comes out here
are
in
there?
March.
How many
Jeez,
seasons
I think it's 3 seasons if I'm not mistaken, but correct me in the chat if that's...
And you can't watch
if that's
Clone
not
Wars?
right. I tried watching Clone Wars. I still only got to the end of 2nd season, into the 3rd, and that's where I heard people say it starts to get better. But it's like it burned me out a little bit. It's like every time I try and get people to watch Lost, because I'm a Lost fan, they only get to the end of season 3 and they quit, because season 3 was such a drag to get through, to get to some of the cool shit. So I don't know. I'll get back to Clone Wars eventually, Eddie. Maybe. We'll see. I don't want to make any promises I can't keep. You hate to see it. Guys, we have 60 people here in the chat. Thank you so much for being here and watching on a Sunday. Marco, tell me where you were feeling with regards to X-Men 97 here.
Just really quick, if you're in the chat, go ahead and hit that nut button and help Ben out with his algorithm. So X-Men 97, like you said, is just such a formative property for me. Just really inspired so much of my love for comic books. Even though I'm not a huge comic book person, but just comic book films, just everything related to it, figures. And so the fact that they're bringing this back, amazing. Like, it's almost like it's made for me is how it feels. And I know a lot of people from our generation feel that way. Mm-hmm. I think it is cool that it is picking up after the events of the previous seasons, basically. I think that's a really cool way to do it. But I would love to see a remaster of the original episodes, because I've tried to rewatch them. They look nice on Disney Plus, but it does feel like there's something that needs to be modernized. And I know we have so many tools with AI. Like, give us a remastered cut of all of them, put them in like the correct continuity if that needs to happen. I think that there's just ways that if you're going to pick up where we left off, make it feel a bit more seamless. But overall, incredibly hyped for this, and I'm thinking we're gonna get some figures from this, right, that are outside of what Hono's doing. That's kind of comic book inspired. I want specific theory. X-Men 97 figures. Give me these exact looks, and man, I would need to have everything we see here plus whatever else they drop. So.
Because even though Wolverine, like the Hono one, isn't quite this costume, like it's close. It's about the closest I think you could get.
Yeah.
But definitely some changes. What price point do you think you'd be willing to pay?
They might be like price point. Yeah, I would say
true.
The What If line was animated, right? We had some Into the Spider-Verse that were animated that were Hot Toys main line. And I think those are priced around, $250 to $285-ish. So I would just assume that we would get something in that realm. It would be nice if it was sub 250, maybe. But I just don't see it happening. But it's maybe they do 225 and they're like, hey, we're going to release a bunch of these and then we're going to incentivize you to pick a lot of them up, which I would love to see that. So this Storm, by the way, this is the coolest iteration of Storm with the all white or all silver. The most badass look.
I hope they give us all of these figures, dude. You're totally right. I was thinking of Mondo pricing when I was asking you about pricing, because I think even the X-Men animated 1/6 scale Mondo figures are in that $285 range, and they're just straight plastic. So if you're hoping for like a Hot Toys quality soft touch material type figure, I think 225 is a pipe dream. But like, you're right in the sense of like, why not get people to just absolutely splurge money on this line? Like, why the heck not? Maybe we could hold out some hope. Eddie, was this a nothing burger news for you, or was this an exciting burger news for you, good sir? I need a nothing burger nut burger from Dean, I think, to highlight on the screen whenever Eddie feels certain ways. Tell me how you feel, buddy.
X-Men, the animated series I don't think I loved it as much as Marco. Like, I watched it, but my X-Men love comes from Fox X-Men. So yeah, it was cool, and I definitely watched it. And the fact that they're making another one is cool, and I think it's cool that like we live in a time where we get so many sequels to the things that we loved as kids. But I didn't really have I didn't plan on watching it. I was like, it's cool, but it's also a cartoon. And the way that I am now these days, like, it's hard for me to sit through something unless I have like an initial urge to see it. Like, if I'm watching it just to watch it, I'm doing other things. I'm on my phone. I'm not paying attention. But I watched the trailer for the show, and the trailer I thought was pretty good, man. I thought it was there were some badass scenes, and I think it's cool how like Cyclops is leading the team without Xavier around. That seemed cool to me. And then like the little tease you get at the end with Magneto, and like how like Charles left him everything apparently, and now like he owns the mansion. Like that kind of seems interesting. So if they do this story right, I could be enticed to getting into this, like, because it did seem like there's gonna be a cool story there. So we'll see. And I'm excited for all of the X-Men figures that we could get out of it. I think I'll hold off for Hono just because that seems like the right price point for the kind of figure that I want. But I do have some Mondo figures coming, and like I love anything Logan/Wolverine. So if they do any more stuff from this of Wolverine or Logan, then I'd probably be interested in getting that.
There we go. Oh, and Ben, I think you're on mute, but I'll just say, like, this line went so hard. I had maybe not every single one, but as close as you could get. Like, my parents understood how fanatical I was about this. My mom wasn't happy, but my dad enabled it. But like, just look at these make you feel it down in your plums or your nuts, if you will. That this is just it was a little too specific. This is just beautiful right here to see this laid out.
Absolutely. And Marco shared this slide with us in the back screen here as well, because I mean, you're absolutely right when you say this line goes hard, Marco. Like, the packaging is awesome, the coloration is awesome. I love the color scheme of X-Men. I think it's one of the reasons I love the old animated series shows, including Batman the Animated Series. I loved the color design and artwork for that show, especially in the first two seasons when it went when it changed art direction. I didn't love it as much, but again, and then this show, Gargoyles was another show I loved the animation style and coloration of back in the day, and I've got a couple of Gargoyles in the collection. Like, it hits the nostalgia button. So I'll be curious to see. I saw Loco Lou say it's a nothing burger, and I'm like, Loco Lou? Maybe I misread. Maybe I didn't see an earlier chat. I would think, dude, you're the one that would be like, heck yeah, because you have such a cool collection. So let me know if we're not talking about the same thing. But I'm surprised if you're not excited about this, good sir. And we got the Movie Canon Geo in the chat here. I was on the Movie Canon last Saturday morning. If you guys missed that show, it was really fun. He put me in the hot seat and made me pick, Marco, I'm not kidding. He made me pick The Dark Knight, Terminator, or Star Trek to eliminate. And I'm like, he did his research on me, because I don't think I can eliminate any of those without folding in half slightly. So
Star Trek goes, obviously, but it's an evil question to ask.
If you guys want to see me like sweat out the remaining of the cold I had to try and make my selection, go and check out the Movie Canon show as well. But guys, let us know in the chat what your thoughts are here on X-Men 97. Are you excited to get figures from it, or even at least just watch the show? Are you going to do what I'm going to try and do and find the time to rewatch the whole animated series before March 20th? It feels aggressive, but I think it would be worth it. Guys, let's move on. Dune has now had its first reaction praise, surprisingly. No, not surprisingly. It looks pretty cool, don't get me wrong. But it sounds like everybody's like loving it so much that it almost makes me concerned, because like I talked about earlier in today's show, overhype can be dangerous. And so it's not my goal to overhype this film, but I loved the first movie, and I am really excited about the second. And if it's getting the praise that it is, I gotta say I'm even more excited to see what we're gonna get. Now, I've seen some weird popcorn buckets floating around and all of that. I'm not gonna ask the boys if they're gonna get one, because we already know the answer. But Marco, are you excited for Dune 2? And what were your thoughts of Zendaya's red carpet C-3PO look here for the film?
I am very excited for Dune 2. I didn't necessarily love the first film. I appreciate it as a piece of art, like beautifully filmed. The sound direction, incredible. Just like so many cool things about it. But as a movie, it didn't necessarily come together for me. But Denis Villeneuve, I think is how you pronounce his name, absolute genius. Like, I thought Blade Runner 2049 was one of my favorite, modern films, honestly. And so, I think he's gonna deliver a banger with Dune Part 2. Like, I think the groundwork is there. I think I'm gonna like the second one more than I like the first one. And cannot wait to see it in IMAX. If you can go to a 70 millimeter IMAX, which I've got one down the street from me, I think that's going to be the preferred way to do it. Zendaya's outfit, incredible. I'm a huge Zendaya fan. I know Eddie doesn't necessarily mess with her like that, but I think she's gorgeous. I think she's an incredible actress. And I think she's just so quirky. Like, this is a weird thing to do, and I love it. Like, it's just a beautiful way to show up.
Seen some people change this, so they've made Timothée Chalamet look like R2-D2, but with his hair propped up on top of the canister. It's so funny. I love it. The internet, I hate the internet sometimes, but sometimes you gotta love the internet, there's some great shit. That's right. Eddie, what were your thoughts on some of these first reactions for Dune 2? Did you like the first film? I don't know if I've ever really asked you that much. And what are your thoughts on even just this appearance here with Zendaya and Timothy?
Yeah, I liked the first movie. I thought that they didn't tell enough story, and like, I wanted more from the first one. I hear that's how people felt about the Fellowship of the Ring, the first one, and like, I don't remember watching those in theater, but I don't really remember waiting, to be honest, for the second and third movie. So I don't know, but yeah, a lot of people have been comparing it to that, and like, to me, it feels like there's even less story in the first one than Fellowship. But to say that I'm looking forward for Dune 2 is fair. Like, yeah, it looks like a cool movie. It looks like there could be more going on that I'll be more interested in. I don't know how people are like excited for it, because I heard a lot of hate for the first one. Like, it's boring, it's slow, and it's like, well, how are you excited for the second one then? If you didn't care for the first one, I just don't get people's logic with things sometimes. And also, yes, I don't care for Zendaya at all. I don't like love her as an actress. I think she's kind of boring. But I really only know her from Spider-Man. I don't know her from, I'm sure I saw her in something else, but to me in Spider-Man she was boring, and like I didn't I don't think she's the best actress, but everybody's like, "Oh, you gotta watch Euphoria."
You watch
Oh,
Euphoria,
no.
and you'll
Yeah, it's
know
gonna
that she's
change
like
your
a
mind.
powerhouse.
It did actually change my mind about her as well.
I love
agree.
Timothy Chalamet in everything that I've seen him in so far, though. So,
Yeah.
like, he's the main character. So I'll be excited for that. I think the suit here though is really cool. Like, I love that look for her. I think that's a cool look.
Heck yeah.
One more plug for Euphoria. You get to see a lot more of Sydney Sweeney. So if she's a
I'm in,
new
man.
appreciation.
Okay,
You got me.
He's been slowly warming up to Sydney Sweeney. You love to see it. Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm really excited about this film. As I said at the beginning, I think this look on the runway, whatever, super fun. Like you said, if this show is called Let's Get Nuts because the whole fun part of it is that we don't have to take it too seriously and just enjoy the day together. And this is clearly her. She's beautiful. She's going to look good in anything. She can go and not take it too seriously and do an outfit that people are going to talk about. I'm sure she knew there was going to be comparisons to C-3PO. They're literally standing on sand, like in front of a sun. It looks awesome though. So yeah, I'm super excited. Hopefully the success of this one gives us the third film, which I'm equally anticipating. If you've read the books, Dericus Maximus asks us as well as the chat, have we ever seen the original Dune? I loved it. Never seen the new ones. Marco or Eddie, have you guys ever seen the original Dune?
Only clips, but I've never sat down and seen the original.
So I'll say I watched it too early in life to appreciate it as much as I now do as an adult. When I first saw it, I used to love Star Trek as a kid. You guys know I still love Star Trek. I thought Dune was boring in comparison to Star Trek, the original. But the original Dune had Patrick Stewart in it. And I'm like, well, I love Patrick Stewart in Next Generation. There's no way I won't love this film. And when I was a kid, couldn't learn to love it. As an adult, certainly a new appreciation for it. But people talk about this new film with Timothy being a slow version. That original film was a slow burn. Some excitement for sure, but definitely a slow burn. And so old school in terms of its feel that some of it hasn't aged as well as I would like to see. But Dericus, watch the first one I would recommend.
Right? Yeah,
I don't remember who directed it now that you say that.
I think so.
Yeah. So either way, fun watch. It was something that I purchased before the Dune, like the new Dune remake came out, and enjoyed it on 4K. It was my step up from DVD quality, Marco.
Look at you.
So I know. Guys, that's all we have for you for entertainment news today. I do want to get into the 6 scale stuff because we got lots of fun 6 scale to talk about. Let's see here. Oh, not sure about this new 3PO outfit. We're going to talk about C-3PO later here too, Ryan. But Zendaya looks good as C-3PO, let's be honest. Guys, Beetlejuice. He's here. Again, let's be honest, Sideshow has given us a 1.0 that we see on the right-hand side in the past. Now, as a 6 scale collector, I've been doing this since 2010, technically. I really started collecting mostly again back in 2018, and then from there it's been kind of crazy. I missed the original Sideshow version 1.0, but to be honest, even in the hunting for it, I never totally thought it looked all that much like Keaton. It wasn't a super strong sculpt. The tailoring was okay, but a little on the baggy side as well. And for some of the aftermarket dollars it was asking for, not worth it. At least not for me here in Canada. And it's weird because of all the collection tours we get a chance to see across all the different collectors on YouTube and everything, I don't know if I've seen somebody's collection with this in it yet. I'm sure there's community members that have it, but never on actual YouTube. So I was excited really about this new announcement. I made my own little video on the Ben Thomas Show. Some of you guys have seen it probably already. I'm really excited about what we got here with the figure. I think the likeness to Keaton is really strong. I don't love the hair. There's like a poofiness to it that's a little strange. But I do think if you take some like beard balm or something through it and kind of grease it up a little bit, you could actually make it work pretty good. Because otherwise, I think it's strong. Now, when I close my eyes and think about the animated series, the original film, I would say like iconically this is the representation of Beetlejuice we think of. But my favorite scene of Beetlejuice is actually that graveyard scene at the beginning when he's introduced, and he's actually wearing an entirely different outfit than this. So I would have been happy with either look from Sideshow. Last criticism, didn't necessarily come with as many accessories as I would like to see. There's not a ton of accessories from this specific scene unless you give him like a circus head and roll out arms. But I would have liked to see even a gravestone when Lydia's bringing him back as Beetlejuice. He's sitting there on a gravestone. There's a couple scenes with him with a cigarette. He does have pointing fingers, which I appreciate, but there's some things that I would have liked to see Sideshow add, or potentially that circus head sculpt I think would have been cool. Otherwise, as of right now, I'm pretty sure we don't have pricing for this yet. It's going to get my money either way. I'm too big of a Beetlejuice fan to not buy this. I can't wait to get it and show you guys my thoughts and reaction in person once I get a Beetlejuice finally in my collection. And he'll stay year-round. It won't just be a Halloween display for me. Eddie, I can't remember. Are you much of a Beetlejuice guy? Are you excited for this, like the new film that's coming with Jenna Ortega and a return of Keaton? And is this a figure you'd actually consider for your collection?
I love the original Beetlejuice movie. Yeah, one of Michael Keaton's best. He had some great movies growing up. Do I think we needed a second one? Not really. Is it cool? Kind of. I'm open-minded about it. It's not like I'm pissed they're doing a second one. And again, it's like it's that time period. Is like we're getting sequels to everything that we loved, so that's cool. And I know everybody loves Jenny Ortega, so that'll be cool to see her in there too. But I think the figure looks amazing. I definitely want the figure. The only thing I'm worried about is how the hair will come out. Like in this picture, it looks really good. I'm skeptical that it'll come out like it did in this picture, but
it's a prototype.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yep, that's true. Very good call. So we got Six Guns Figs here in the chat. Good to see you here, buddy, with us. X-Men Supreme says, I'm getting Beetlejuice and I'm interested in their classic Pennywise. Ooh, could see that as well. And I've seen a lot of horror collectors really compliment the Sideshow brand for some of their horror line. I know they get a lot of slack for some of the old Star Wars bodies and stuff. I've never had any of those on hand, so I can't really speak to that well, but I've seen some of the Sideshow horror figures, including Ghostface and one or two of the Michael Myers. They're cool. They're cool figures. If they classify this as kind of that horror collection, I think this could be really, really nice. Marco, tell me about your either affection or dislike for Beetlejuice, and are you considering putting this guy in your collection?
Yeah, no hate or love for Beetlejuice, honestly. I think just I was really scared of everything when I was a kid, so I think that was like one of those things where it was just going to be too spooky for me to ever visit. I've since kind of grown into a bit of a horror admirer. Like I still get visions at the foot of my bed if I watch a movie too late, so I try to pick and choose the films that I really want to watch. Beetlejuice, I think that this a cool representation that people have been asking for. They've been asking InArt to do this one. I just don't trust Sideshow. Like you guys were saying, it could be a hit, it could be a miss. I just am not certain that they're the right company to do this. I think that they should have stuck with sculpted hair. I just don't trust anything about their figure lines, and then you add on rooting that needs to be like pretty specific, and I think it's got too many variables for me to ever think, even if it was a property that I loved, that I could trust Sideshow. And I know Eddie and I have chatted about this a bit, but there's obviously the second film coming out, like you guys mentioned. Another company might be doing a figure from that line, so depending on how he looks from that film, that could be better Beetlejuice representation than what we're getting here. So yeah, Sideshow, just they've got to put together a few more hits before I think we can start saying like they are competing with the top dogs in 1/6. But this prototype does look very good.
And it's interesting too, like mentioning the trust piece of it, because I've noticed in my time collecting and talking to you guys, talking to community people, like trust is one of the biggest factors for where they decide to buy from, what they decide to put their money into, and it makes sense. It's an expensive hobby, let's be honest. But I think whenever you hear that the trust is breaking or the trust is gone or broken, that's really when the community will move to support you or not, right? And for now, I think Sideshow's, like I said earlier, with some of their horror figures, has regained some faith, some trust. I think they've done some great things. Great collector or collections are based on some of those horror figures I've seen. But on the other hand, if it doesn't have your trust yet, that makes sense why you'd at this point still be a wait and see. I can't imagine who might make a Beetlejuice next other than maybe a Mars Toys. And we're going to talk about Mars Toys next. So for me, I still think I'll take the risk on this, Marco, because as I said, even with kind of how poor that original Beetlejuice likeness was, once it was gone, it was impossible to find or for astronomical pricing. And if this is the only 6-scale Beetlejuice I ever get, I'll be happy with it. If it ends up being that another better company comes along, I'd be willing to take a slight loss to trade up and enjoy this in the figure collection for now, because it just represents such a big portion of childhood.
You're not gonna pre-order it though, right?
I don't know. I haven't decided. Because like if it comes out like absolute like avocado toast, I mean, it's I just don't expect it to be that much money. I guess I think it'll depend, I guess, on how much it costs. Because if they're like, this is $380 all in, I'm gonna be like, no, okay, I'll wait. But I really want it. So like at the same time, I always say, if you really want something, still pre-order it. It's not worth the stress of not getting it later. But there's always somewhere you can get this stuff from, even if it's not Sideshow specific.
It's not a hot toy. They're not going to make a limited amount. It's going to be an open thing.
You think they'll go back to it over and over?
Well, even the Clone Wars stuff is open. It's sold out once. I think the Ahsoka is like the only one that's sold out. But yeah, I don't think there's any reason to pre-order it unless you just like don't want to think about it, I guess. But I think it's safer to just not pre-order it because, yeah, I do think it's a really safe bet that it will be available once released.
Interesting. Well, let us know what you guys think in the chat. Are you Team Eddie here? Do you agree that this is just going to be available until like insane amount of numbers? You'll just be able to always get it. Do you think it'll end up being a limited item? I feel like some of the mentality around collecting has shifted with companies and collectors in the the past year. So things have, some of them gone away, some of them have come back. I've converted on almost every waitlist I've put myself on, so part of me has, like my trust that we were talking about is diminished a little bit when it comes to like what a real waitlist is. But Eddie makes some good points too. Do we need to jump to spend the money, even if this is really cool and we've been waiting like I have?
Can I add two more things really quickly?
Of course.
I saw Jose mention that this is a Yixi sculpt, which is awesome because Yixi is all over doing like Enterbay figures, hot toys, stuff for Sideshow. So Joao would say real collectors no, but okay, I just found out about this person not that long ago. But definitely a standout here.
That's a good call.
And then also I will say, just because it's a Sideshow figure doesn't mean that you have to buy from Sideshow. Yes. I know you could get this from your mom and pop shops and probably save on some shipping and some sales tax. So definitely one that you could shop around for, even though it is a Sideshow specifically.
Well said, good sir. Well said. And we have almost 70 people watching us live right now here on a Sunday of Let's Get Nuts. So we love you guys. Thank you.
You love him, don't you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. We're loving that you're here with us. Let's move on to the next topic. And we were just talking a little bit about Mars Toys. Mars Toys has a community Facebook page. Now, this wasn't specifically posted from Mars Toys, but it is from an admin on their page. And it says here, the official figure character suggestion thread for Mars. And there's quite a few options here. But it says, please do not tag Mars in your comment. He will be watching. But show your interest of a character by reaching to or replying to suggestions that interest you. So I was curious,
how many dumb motherfuckers still tagged Mars? I bet you there's
probably so many. Probably so many. Yeah, in fact, I think the very next post. it's Jose G. Hernandez.
That was the funniest part, is how many dumb motherfuckers. God,
it was Jose was one of them.
Sorry, Jose, we didn't mean to call you out there.
Funny, bro.
Too funny. Oh my goodness. We didn't even script that. That's too funny. That's too good. Guys, there were some cool suggestions in here though, and I want to run through them kind of quickly, and then Marco, I want to see if there's any that really stand out to you. So of course we got Bob, Gangster Bob. I know this is actually a huge favorite for Jedi Night's Watch. I heard him mention this on his show the other day. I would love a Bob to go along with my Joker. So yeah, heck yeah. Catwoman. We got Rick from The Mummy. Actually, Eddie and I were talking about Rick backstage. I think that could be really cool. Some Kryptonians from the original. Batwoman original as well. Jaws. Eartha Kitt. Julie Newmar. Love to see it. Kyle Reese. God of War. Two-Face in there, of course. I know Mars has actually teased Two-Face, if I'm not mistaken, right, Eddie? So potentially. Oh my God, the guys from Home Alone.
The sticky bandits or the wet bandits.
The wet bandits. Well, depending on what movie, I guess. If it's Home Alone 2, it's the sticky bandits. Kill Bill, I'm actually considering watching tonight again. It's been a few years since I've seen that movie, and it's one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino films. So I love Kill Bills. So yeah, I could see that. Snake, a couple Bobs in here. Men in Black. I actually saw Men in Black is taking that off Canadian Netflix soon, so I might also watch that soon because it's been a little while since I've seen it. The Dumb and Dumber guys. Blues Brothers, heck yeah. Selena Celine from the Underworld movies. I would love her, actually. That was on my wish list for 2024. Of course, Christopher Walken, but I can't remember what his character name is. Maxwell Shrek. I think it's Maxwell Shrek.
Yeah.
That could be a cool fit. He creeped me out as a kid in that film, dude. My God, he was creepy. Some of the Matrix figures and so on. Marco, I'm going to keep scrolling. Do any of these really stand out to you? For me, it would be a Rick from The Mummy. Maybe some recency bias there, but I love Brendan Fraser. I'd love to get him in 6-scale form. What are your thoughts here?
Honestly, I love all of these as they scroll through. Like, I love the creativity. There's just so many cool ones that you could go to. I'm seeing right here, a Batman. I think that's Nightfall, perhaps. Mm-hmm. I think that they're good to stick within that DC universe, especially going back to the Batman films that not a lot of people love. And I know we talked about Mr. Freeze, but specifically the suited version, give us light ups. I saw that Dragon Toys one that looked okay, but I think that Mars Toys could really like take their game to the next level and like, hey, we got all these electronics in here, like we are really doing some next level 1/6 stuff. And then this is kind of a weird one here, but I'd love to see them do something sports related, like Michael Jordan from Space Jam with like a Bugs Bunny or like some Looney Tunes. Cool. I think that'd be like really cool, like kind of go in that realm that's kind of sports, but it's kind of still cinematic as well. So, but yeah, I'm loving all of these. I got to go back to this post and kind of scroll through this because people have great recommendations here.
So many great recommendations. So
Better
many.
Call Saul.
I didn't even think of the gangsters actually here, Eddie, for Batman Forever. Just someone in the alleyway with Dick. Love to see it.
That'd be cool.
Any of these stand out to you, buddy, as I slowly keep progressing? Let us know in the comments, guys, if you contributed to this list. What was your contribution? I'd be curious to see. Dorothy, love to see it.
Yeah, I kind of I want them to stick to fleshing out the Batman lines. So like, obviously I want Catwoman, but the one thing that nobody's done with Catwoman that I really want is a damaged head where her hair's like sticking out of the mask.
Oh hell yeah.
Sculpted or rooted, whatever looks better, whatever they're better at doing, I don't really care. And then a penguin, I know that another third party did that already, but I'd like to see them do it since they're doing so well. I think they did already tease Freeze.
In the suit,
they didn't tease him in the suit. They just showed his head sculpt. So I don't know what they're planning on doing, but they did tease that they will do him. And Riddler's almost shipping, I think, or at least they posted that teaser update. So like, that I'm pretty sure they do a Two-Face as well. And yeah, I think my biggest wants though are Poison Ivy.
Ooh,
I even want that Bane. I want everything from Batman and Robin.
Sure too.
Everything from Batman and Robin. If they do Batman, George Clooney Batman, do it, because I don't know. I'm leaning towards the fact that Hot Toys won't. I want the red and black Robin. I want Alicia Silverstone, Catwoman, or
anyway.
Batwoman, my bad. Yeah.
Film some suit up scenes. Love to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mrs. Doubtfire in here. Quite a few different Biffs. Quantum Leap. I loved that show as a kid. I don't know how well it would hold up now, but if you guys have never seen Quantum Leap, give it a chance. Scott Bakula, great show. And Dean
But there's
Stockwell
kind of a
as
trend, right, with figures that we've seen them push out so far. It's like normal figure bodies with the suit over it. That's kind of all the ones that I could think of, right? And the Riddler would be the next one, and kind of that same line. So almost if we kind of think about figures that would fit that mold, then we might know what they're going to dip into next.
Very, very true. Even the Poison Ivy Bane. Well, it's still one of my lesser favorite Banes that's existed. He's still cool, very comic looking, anyways. Even if he's not comic smart.
Even if they did a Bane 2-pack with not with Poison Ivy, because I think they do her on her own. But if they did a Bane 2-pack and gave us the doctor that made the chemicals, like I would be down for that too. So
yeah,
Dick Tracy.
Yeah. Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy would be a dope one.
I had those little figures when I was a kid too. That was a great movie, dude. I'm surprised they haven't gone back. How have they not gone back to a Dick Tracy remake of all the remakes that exist? Yeah. Cool figure as well. We got young Anakin there. We might see a young Anakin from the Phantom Menace line from Hot Toys. Hard to say. Lou Ferrigno Hulk. Love to see that. That's awesome.
Oh,
I loved Hook, but I don't know if I'd collect from him. But
Rufio, though, you wouldn't.
Rufio would be pretty cool if they did it right. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
There you go. That's my
Looky.
best friend. I gotta add that guy. The only other guy in the community that wants a George Clooney Batman.
Yeah, there you go. Die Hard, Bruce Willis, 100%. Man, there's some great suggestions in this list.
All the original, what's his name from Superman? The original Superman.
Yep.
It just goes to show how much meat on the bone there still is in this community, right? Or in this hobby, where companies can come in and there's definitely plenty of properties to tap into and make figures from.
Hundreds of characters that you could choose, and it goes back to, we talk a little bit about on this show and other shows, being strategic with your collection. Don't just buy because it's the new hype thing, because man, collections fill up really quickly. I'm having that trouble right now. I'm starting to realize that my one per shelf is just not working out for me. So now I'm looking at pairing, and then after pairing, I think I'm gonna have to go different display option altogether, like Moducase or one of those types of cases. So we'll see, but. Man, like when I look at here and I can pick out easily 30 to 50 figures that I'm like, or characters that I would want as figure form. Man, it's a little ridiculous.
Do you guys know the difference between Batgirl and Batwoman?
Is this a joke or is there an actual
No, I'm
difference?
asking legitly because I know I was trying to think of a good joke, but I couldn't. But no, I'm asking legitly, like, because what's the difference? The character? Just Barbara Gordon and... So Barbara Gordon was who? Batwoman, and then that's I always get those two confused, and I don't know. It's like
Barbara Gordon
Robin,
is Batgirl as well as Oracle. I like Barbara most as Oracle, I would say.
So who's Batwoman?
I can't remember who Batwoman is. Let us know in the chat, guys. What's the actress of Batman or Batwoman, I should say. They are different characters because one's blonde and one is redhead. Which, I mean, just iconography wise, like clearly that's a different person. Like clearly. Clark Kent is not Superman, guys. Glasses, come on.
Man, one really stood out if you wouldn't mind scrolling up a little bit, and it was the Rush Hour characters. I think that we're talking about guys in suits. Like that would be a perfect 2-pack. Come on.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw somebody, like a custom artist, put up Reacher the other day. I thought that was interesting. So, guys, we got a special guest in the back, and I apologize I didn't even see him in because I'm scrolling Facebook here online. You love to see it. We got 64 people watching us. So who better to not have a grand entrance for but the low-key collector himself, Kelvin. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome back from the grocery store. How was your event? Good to see you.
Man,
Thank you for coming back.
Women never know how to just stick to the script. We're going in for dog food. We're going in for this. We're going in for that. And I end up fucking shopping all throughout Costco, PetSmart, Home Depot. Oh. It's an event. You know how it is. What's up, fellas? Good to see you guys.
Hey. Good to see you here, man. It's been a little while since we've had you on Let's Get Nuts, and bringing it in with Marco as well. It's a fun day, so I'm glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, like you said, football's over. Yes. Everybody's excited with the Dodger blue. Oh, are you excited? I was like, yeah, I'm still pissed off about last week.
Fair. Kelvin, we're talking a little bit about Mars Toys right now because there was a post that went up by one of their admins today on their Facebook page asking for some cool suggestions.
This. I did not see this. Simon Phoenix.
There are a lot.
And I forget who he played, but Simon Phoenix's slide right there. That'd be a dope 2-pack.
Heck yeah. Yeah. What are some of the standouts here for you? One. There's hundreds that we've scrolled through, but
who was it that I saw this? I did see this morning. I'm trying to remember who it was that I saw.
There's some crazy ones.
Pfeiffer. I mean, I've got a quarter scale Pfeiffer, so I'm happy there.
Mm-hmm.
But damn, they took it back to Buffy and Angel.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, and Buffy has been released by, I think it was Sideshow originally. They weren't the greatest representations because they're pretty old now, but you could get a Buffy and Angel back in the day.
Uncle Buck would be dope. Rufio and Hook.
Heck
Peter
yeah,
Pan.
man.
That's a classic right there.
The Lou Ferrigno Hulk. Yeah, and you could make him seamless, technically.
Actually, you could.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so
Lane
many.
Kramer. Wasn't that a correct character from Aliens?
It wasn't.
I'm sure I could cosplay as that. Let's see. Oh, that's what it was. It was I'm drawing a blank right now, guys. The Joker's dude from Batman.
Oh, Bob.
89.
Bob.
Bob was.
Bob,
I was like,
yeah.
that dude.
Bob shows up a couple times actually.
With the streak that they've had so far with these Batman figures, Bob would be a dope one.
That would be cool, and with like the leather jacket with like the classic Joker symbol on the jacket there and everything. Like my original Nicholson Joker comes with that in the box, and I actually have it displayed behind him, like the comic inspired, like I want to say like spiral image. Really, really cool looking. So, heck yeah, man. Well,
I
again,
don't know about Carl Grissom, but definitely Bob. That'd be a dope one.
Yeah, he was funny though. Right? Who was the reporter? Is that Carl Grissom?
No.
The
Carl
reporter was the one trying to get at Vicky Vale.
Yeah, he was funny.
Knox. Was it
Knox. That is the
Top dollar would be dope to go with Crow.
Top dollar with Crow, yeah. I was because I literally again recency bias. I'm still loving my Crow figure. I was
Monk.
Talk about Sideshow figures, by the way. That Crow figure that I have, I've never seen, and you guys probably have. I've never seen a figure body that actually has scar tissue under the bullet holes in his shirt. Really, really, like right on the body itself, they put scar tissue.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really, really cool. I've never seen, and that was a Sideshow piece, so it still gives me the faith for that Beetlejuice that we were talking about. But
and you know, I know Mars has done Breaking Bad figures before. I desperately want the chemical suits, like the yellow suits with Walter and Jesse. Someone's got to do that again. Like I'm shocked that
that 2-pack would be dope.
Oh my gosh, because I forget who it was that did. Was it 3-0 that did the 2-pack a while ago? So someone's got to redo that again.
I also really want a Mel Gibson something in my collection, like Patriot, Braveheart.
Patriot would be dope. That's a fire movie.
What Women Think. I'll take any Mel Gibson figure that I can get.
What Women Want.
Yeah, What Women Want. Yeah, I just want a Mel Gibson 1/6 scale figure. So.
Who would you pair him next to? Like Captain, or like what? Not Captain America. I was gonna say Wonder Woman, or like who would you
put him next to Iron Man?
If we're talking about what women want, he'd have to be with the X-Men because that's an X-Men mutant. That's a mutant power right there.
That's right. Oh man, Beatrix Kiddo. Heck yeah, I would love her as well. Guys, very great conversation. Thanks for entertaining me with that. Lots of good picks. Thank you so much for all the comments from everybody as well. We'll definitely read through. Kenny Long here with us. Thanks for joining in. Says Buffy has a huge cult following. Totally. I'm more of an Angel fan though. I actually loved the series of Angel. I will give it credit. It was awesome for its time.
I was all for it back in the day when I was a kid. I was every Tuesday night? Was it Tuesday nights?
I don't remember what
they came on, but
I don't remember. Yeah,
I was there every week with those two, Buffy, Spike, Bianca Lawson.
Yeah.
I loved when she came in and became the second Buffy.
Yep. Yeah, she was awesome, dude. There was so much good about that back in the day. So, guys, let's move on because we still have a little bit more figure news to get through. We still have 60 people watching live. Thank you so much, guys, for being here with us. Let's pull this back up. So, Kamen Rider has given us another version here of their cool figures, cool character line. I will be transparent right from the get-go. I actually tried to do some research on Kamen Rider because I've seen how big of a following it actually is, but I didn't get very far. I still don't feel like I know totally who these characters are, which is unfortunate, because objectively as 6-scale figures, they're really cool looking. Now, I am noticing a little bit of reuse in the base that comes along with this guy. Clearly, they've tweaked that a little bit from the Logan figure we'd seen not too long ago, Wolverine 1973. But that's okay. We're used to figure companies doing that. It's not the end of the world. Figure-wise, even with the bike, objectively really freaking cool. So this will be one that I wouldn't justify bringing into my collection until I actually watch the content. I felt that way about the Crow. Calvin, I told you that a bunch of times, that I kept seeing the Crow in my local store, and I'm like, it's so cool, but I can't buy it until I actually watch it. And I watched it, loved it, and I immediately went out the next day, buddy, and bought that figure. I feel like Kamen Rider has to be one of those for me. I wouldn't buy it unless I watched it and loved it, but it's objectively really freaking cool. So Calvin, I'll go to you first, buddy. Any experience with this like franchise at all? What are your thoughts on the character, the bike, all the stuff?
I have no clue other than Loco Lou's excitement for this piece or these pieces.
Heck yeah, man.
I have no clue what this is. It looks like a cockroach in a motorcycle gear. That's what it looks like to me. They look cool, but I wouldn't have anything to do with them. So I've got enough. I'm spread thin enough as it is right now.
That's fair. That's fair. The bike is really cool. You could, like, I feel like you could give it adjacent to the Bat bike from the Batman film, just because, like, the headpiece on the front. It also reminds me a little bit of Beetleborgs from back in the day. I actually used to be a huge Beetleborg guy, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. But Marco,
Nerd.
Right? What are your? That's okay. Happy to be. There was a time where it wasn't cool to be a nerd, and now I walk through the mall, and some of the most popular stores are like Lego. Stores that have like Sunrise Records that have figures and records and vinyl and all the cool stuff. It is cool to be a nerd these days. I love it. Obviously, we're all here. Marco, what are your thoughts on Kamen Rider, buddy?
Yeah, so initially I want to write this off and be like, I don't care about this at all, like next topic, but I do want to, I realize that would be in complete juxtaposition to what we just talked about, where we got a whole list of people putting like, hey, this is my favorite character, and it might be a lot more niche than, the mainstream that we normally get from Marvel and from Star Wars, but it is cool anytime a company kind of goes outside of those properties that dominate such a huge percentage of, the figures that are made in this hobby. So I think overall, like, it looks really nice. It's nice that someone that's a huge fan of these properties can get representation. And I know that I think another company had done these before, but I think this, from what I'm hearing, is a big upgrade. So yeah, I think overall not for me in any way, but anytime we're getting these kind of one-offs or like different from what's normally done, I think it's a really positive thing in this hobby.
Heck yeah, dude. Well said. Because again, like, just seeing the audience for this, the popularity of this franchise, like, it's hard to be a collector and be like, oh, who's going to collect this? Because definitely people will, even if they're not necessarily 1/6 scale collectors. I could see people who are just a huge fan of this particular content collecting, which I think is kind of fun. We got Dave's Man Cave in real life here. Says, hey guys, just tuned in, heading into work, but I'll have to catch up on the replay. You have a good show. Thank you, good sir, for stopping in and showing some support over here. Eddie, any thoughts on this, what I want to call a Beetleborg, but clearly a very cool figure from Kamen Rider? Is this one that you would ever consider putting in the collection?
I would not consider putting it in the collection, but I think it looks really cool. I like the light up features. I love whenever you can have something to elevate the figure, like the motorcycle. That's cool. And I really like the screaming portrait. Like, I think they did a really good job. It looks really good.
It's creepy, actually.
Yeah, so you could get some cool poses and stuff out of that.
Which having a hot dog or something, like,
wow,
it's super weird.
Or churros. I don't really know how well the line will do. I know this is more popular in Asia, and like Hot Toys is really popular out there too, so maybe it'll do well. To me, it seems like the League of Legends stuff, like it's a gamble, but I guess we'll see. I agree with the points that Margot made about how it's cool to see them going outside the normal, like, Marvel, DC stuff and Star Wars, and making something for other collectors. I do think that that's really cool. Hopefully it does well for them and it could keep coming, because I know there's like, I just know SHF does like millions of Kamen Rider figures, so I think there's like a ton of different ones that they could do. So if someone got everything they wanted, that would be pretty sick.
I think by my count, this is now the third one, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe there seems like there's no signs of holding back, at least. And like you said, even when we saw League of Legends coming out recently as well, again, for a different subset of collectors potentially, but still really cool. We got Ryan Dean here in the chat. Now, I can't confirm this to be 100% accurate, so I'm just going to go on faith that you're giving us the right info, buddy. But he says, Black Sun is the name of the series and lead character. Think along the lines of X-Men themes, Power Rangers aesthetic, and B-movie excessive blood and gore, and subtitles. I feel like I could get on board with that. Like, that sounds pretty freaking cool. So thanks for the tip there, good sir. If that's something people are interested in, let us know in the comments. If it's not something you're interested in, that's okay too. Let us know. Why isn't this something that you put in? I could see this being even, again, if you're not familiar with the franchise, like Ryan said here, even like a Power Rangers villain, something to kind of put them against could be really, really fun.
I thought an Ant-Man villain.
An Ant-Man villain? Yeah, that's actually a really good one too, dude. So yeah, I mean, really cool to see, and I love the motorcycle that comes along with it. Now, Calvin, I'm happy you're here because I know you're a huge Batman fan, obviously. If anybody can see the crispy collection that Calvin's got behind him, it's significantly more extensive, and I haven't even had the pleasure of being able to walk through it in person yet. So one day, hopefully, I'll get a chance to see it live, buddy.
You know the price.
I do. Marco has shared the price with me, and it's high. It is high, but it's really nice.
Are you willing to pay it? I don't think that you're understanding what I'm saying. You understand what it takes to get into that collection room. So as long as you're prepared to pay it.
It's something about drop your drawers. I'm pretty confident, but if I'm not mistaken, we'll see. But either way, big Batman guy. And
May's around the corner.
Yep,
he didn't say no. So
I'm a huge Batman guy myself. Many of us are part of an actual Instagram chat called the Dark Knight Bros, which makes me laugh every time I read it. And so we got some.
Doesn't it start with toxic now?
Now it's
toxic. The first term.
Once
we added Big Bretta in there, we had to change it to toxic.
We did, so. Yeah. It's one of those things, right? I love Bretta. He's so matter of fact, though. You know, every time I ask that guy how he's doing, he says everything is fine, which doesn't sound fine. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't sound good. Jazzinc has posted from the man himself here a post this week, and it says here, okay, so the animated series Batmobile is the winner of the poll, but we can open pre-orders. I need to establish detail, size, features, so I want to make it with the opening cockpit, lighting obviously, and in this case I might also consider an engine to make it a bit more spectacular. So please send all details, pictures, info to Yost if you have some that you think would be worthy of sharing. Now, he gave a follow-up post though, because I don't know if many of you guys have had a Batman the Animated Series Batmobile in any other form. I'd had the McFarlane one, or actually I think it was DC Direct if I'm not mistaken, the DC Direct version, which was really cool for my 7-inch scale animated series figures. But it's a very basic model. It's a lot of plastic, and it's pretty contained. There's not a lot going on, especially when we compare them to other Batmobiles that are now kind of coming from Yost. Like the Keaton one looks amazing from it being a real life car. Same with some of the other versions. So his secondary post was also to collectors, should I be considering more of an animated style like we're seeing here on the left? But again, potentially the worry that it could look a little on the cheap side, maybe a little too plasticky for the price point he would need to put this up at. Or should I go more realistic? Something that looks a little bit more like we could put like a real life figure in that is just suited like the Batmobile from the animated series. And so he shared a couple of these images. Don't know where they came from. This is, I think, just kind of a concept or mock-up of what more of the real look could give. But I'm conflicted because Mondo Batman figures exist, so you do have some Batmans that you could pair. I think it was S Hero that's also giving us a suited up version of the Batman. So I think you could put that with it. I think I'm still
as well as teased. They haven't shown the full one, but they've teased.
Forgot about that. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I think I'm still kind of leaning more to like I would prefer maybe a slightly lower cost if you could squeeze it, but an animated look to it as opposed to it being less in the element of the real. But I'm happy to be talked in other directions. So Marco, I know you're a big Batman guy, and I'll go to Calvin here next. Marco, tell me what your thoughts are on the Batmobile possibility here, and what would your vote be? Animated or more real look?
Yeah, so we talked about X-Men, the 90s X-Men, and that being so important to me, and Batman, the animated series, is the same exact way, right? I like the idea that it would be a little bit more realistic, because I want all those details, everything that we were getting from the 89 Batmobile, the pearlescent paint color, if that's applicable here, which, I think you could do a black kind of pearly paint color, and then all these really specific details on the engine. I think he's got to go full realism here, and I think there's a way to make the car very interesting to both just Batman fans that maybe don't love the animated stuff, and then also animated fans that want just a really cool high-end representation of this vehicle. So that would be my vote.
Heck yeah, totally makes sense. Calvin, same question for you, buddy. The size on this vehicle must be insane. Like, I'm thinking it's got to be in the 4.5-5 foot range, because I think it's bigger than even the Keaton Batmobile would be. And you've got some other vehicles in the collection, but I know your love for Batman, so I'd be curious. What are your thoughts? Animated or real, and would this be a consideration?
Conflicted, torn, whatever term you want to use.
100%.
The child and nostalgia in me wants animated. I used to rush home from school to catch this, before I got my homework done. Like, this was, I gotta get home before my Batman's on. Plus, still to this day, the Mask of the Phantasm is still the best Batman movie out there. When the adult in me I want my money's worth if I go to purchase this. So I want the extra bells and whistles, but it just doesn't hit me in the heartstrings. Go back one for me. Like to the right here. Does this not look like the bottom section of a Nike sneaker? Just the way the lips up, and like as if it'd be the bottom platform of a shoe.
I can't afford Nikes. I'm a Hot Toys collector, unfortunately. Wow. I only have one job, okay?
And then the picture before this, when it was straight on with the hood down, I just saw a submarine in my head. That's what came to mind. So it's just I know what it's supposed to be, but it's just not hitting me. Whereas I see this animation picture here, and I'm like, I know exactly what the hell that is. Yeah. I know it was simplistic, but I don't know. I think all these extra, because we had the flat hood here in the animated, this extra lip here. Looks looking more like a tank to me than this here. I'm just torn. Like I said, I know what it is. I know what it's supposed to be. The right side of the brain, where I'm spending my money, wants the extras, but the kid in me wants the animated. So I'm torn here.
It's tough.
And I think honestly, I already have one, so I really don't even need this. So.
I could be. Oh man, I could be tipped over on this. But one of the deciding factors for me to not get the 89 Yost one was its length. The Hot Toys one is going to fit in the collection a little easier for me. But as much as I love that 89 Batman, love it, it's still the animated series that really drove my affection for Batman and made me love all of the other versions of Batman that have come since. So this would be the one that I feel like if I was going to ever get like a custom display for even, I would consider it. Single Songwriter asks a good question, says, how can you make a cartoon Batmobile that looks cartoonish? Are there any cartoon 1/6 scale figures for it? Hot Toys makes animated clones, live action style, and not this Batmobile have the same look. So Mondo does have some jointed figures that you could check out, Single Songwriter, that are 1/6 scale. They have pretty ugly joints, but they're very animated in style. S Hero is also bringing us one that actually has a soft touch material suit over the joints. It's a little less ugly if you don't like the joint look to it. As much as I love joints in life, I don't love them on my figures. And then Marco also mentioned a So-So Toys tease. So there are going to be options available, and I think it's smart for Yost to get out in front of those options. Eddie, I know you're a big Batman fan as well, but I've heard you in the past say you only have one space available for a Bat vehicle, and I don't think it's this one, but does this tip you over? What are your thoughts?
I'm not as big of an animated fan as you guys are. I watched it, and it is nostalgic. Like, the music is really nostalgic, but I don't collect anything. I've been tempted with the third-party stuff to get one version just to have him, because the look is iconic, but I wouldn't definitely not need the Batmobile. But I do. This is interesting because how Marco's a huge fan, and yet he wants the realistic. And I feel like in my gut, I feel like if it was animated, he'd sell more. And I also feel like saying that because it's animated, it would look cheap is a cop-out. Like, I think you can do it well enough to where it doesn't look cheap, or you can sell it at a price point to where you don't need to sell this for $1,800 just because all your fucking Batmobiles are $1,800. Like, make it and sell it for what it's worth. Your license now, like, doesn't need to be $2,000, bro.
So if he had a more entry-level vehicle, though, let's say like under $1,000 or around that price point, like that'd be a lot more appealing. Like, make it animated, whatever you got to do to get it cheaper. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, and I think you could still put a ton of detail in the paint work and everything to make it look cool. You know, maybe. I mean, he offered 2 painted versions of the dirty and the non-dirty from the Batmobile. Maybe you could do a cell shaded one, or like a bluer toned one and a blacker toned one, or something.
There you go.
Like, do that option. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what's the right way, because I feel like there are some people that want the realism, but I feel like it would sell more in my gut if it was the animated.
Cell shading could really sell it for me, but I've heard criticisms of their paint workmanship. Now, I haven't owned a Jazzinc in hand, but I know some of us have. Some of us have shared their issues with it with me. I won't name any names, but I thought they were valid, at least concerns. I don't know how well they would do cell shading, or how well it would actually last on a vehicle that's being touched all the time, depending on how they'd have to paint it. So it's hard to know. Marco, you shared this with us here in the backstage, and I thought this was an interesting thought. Tell us why you shared this with us.
Yeah, so when I think about animated style vehicles or larger pieces, the Hydra Buster is kind of what came to mind, because that's what Hot Toys had to do, right, for this What If line. And I was never too impressed with this piece because it kind of seems a bit flat. Now, they've added some scratches, so to Eddie's point, you could still do animated style, but still have a few more details. But overall, it's tough to like have this really what's supposed to be high-end piece, and then you try to, combine the animated style, and I don't know that it necessarily works, but people were happy with this piece, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those pieces that I skipped on because I didn't have much in the way of an animated line at the time. But then I've slowly started collecting more animated figures from Mondo, from the X-Men line, and the Batman Animated Series line that I've yet to even display yet. Like, that's going to be kind of the second half of my year, is I think I'm going to take Closet Doors off and have an animated series display in here, which I think would be really cool. And that's where I'm also considering this vehicle. If I paired it with the Mondo Batman and the Joker that I've got coming, that could be really a cool display. I don't know. Guys, let us know what your thoughts are. Should it be animated? Should it be more in the real? We got Batman_collectibles here with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity, good sir. Definitely appreciate it here. It definitely helps the show for us. He says, I love Batman, hence the name. And of course, I just don't see this actually being made. Do you really see Yost hitting the numbers? Hope I'm not wrong, or hope I'm wrong. Not for me. I do see him hitting the numbers. I think usually he doesn't make these posts until he has a certain level of support that he can bank on. Because he's a smaller operation, I think it would be a critical waste of time for him to get people hyped up on things that he doesn't intend to actually consider. But I could be wrong. I think people need to put money where their mouth is, right? A lot of people really
100%.
like the other vehicles, but once they see how much space it takes up, once they see how those dollars come in, what time of year those dollars are coming in, depending on what else is coming to your collection, you got to put your money where your mouth is. And so, yeah, would people back it enough? They may require a higher level of backing before they pull the trigger. But I think once they do, it seems to me, Calvin, I could be wrong, once they have the backing, they do follow through.
Right. Now, I will say that this was voted for. He put out a post saying, here's several different options that people have put out. What do you guys select? It was this, it was the Arkham vehicle, it was the Batman and Robin Batmobile. I'm forgetting what the fourth one was. But he put out 4 of them, and this one by far blew everything else out the water.
My vote could have changed that outcome. We could have got a Batman and Robin Batmobile.
And I get another vehicle.
The 95? The forever vehicle?
Yeah. 95.
95.
No, you wanted 97.
Or yeah, 97.
95
George
is supposed to be
Clooney
your
Batman.
favorite, but you're talking 97.
Yeah,
but,
97.
I mean, so like I said, this was voted for, so I think he definitely has the backing for it. But I think he has now split those dollars between this animated versus the realistic. So
Yeah, 100%. We got collection obsession at one of our members says, I love the animated Batman series, but this Batmobile is a hard pass for me. I will save my money for something else. I would rather have the vault for the 1989 Batman suit. Oh my goodness, that would be cool.
Let me touch on that. I don't know if he is still, I think he's supposed to be starting production next month. I see Customs on Facebook, Steve Weber. Last time I checked, I think he said he had 1 or 2 slots left to get an order in for his. I don't know if he's filled those or not yet, but
for a Batman suit,
those being done.
Calvin,
for the vault.
For the vault.
Yeah.
Do you any do you know what the price is on that? I haven't even seen that. I gotta look that up. That sounds really cool.
I thought I sent that to the chat.
I might have missed it, buddy.
I'll send it to you right now. Hold on.
Cool, man. Yeah, no, that sounds really freaking cool.
He did a run, I believe a few years back, and I've been on his ass like, yo, are you gonna do this again? Because I need this. And so he finally decided to do another run.
The again, talking space and money, right? But still, like,
it's always space and money.
Space and money.
I believe the actual price was like 7-8 for it to be finished with. I did the vault as well as the chair to go with it. That's in the Batcave.
That's pretty good when you think about like the J&D Bruce Wayne that they've shown us recently for $900, and it's literally a figure standing there with like 2 hands. Like, oh, what the hell? It's amazing where we can put our dollars when we're smart collectors. And no shame against anybody who got the J&D, just saying, because I got the J&D Joker coming. I don't think I'm smart yet. Until I see that bad boy in hand, I feel kind of dumb for the amount of money I'm willing to spend for a Joker.
But that Bruce Wayne seems ridiculous. I sent it to Let's Get Nuts chat.
Cool, I'll pull it up here in just a second for sure, buddy. And Denovi says here, I have the DC Direct toy model. It's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's the one that I've got. It's the DC Direct, and it's well detailed and cool looking. But even still, not something I'd be willing to spend $1,500 for, even if it was 6 scale. So that's where like that price versus what it looks like factor is obviously really going to come into play. So, but still, give Jazzinc some support. Send him what your thoughts are, at least. Give him the opportunity to make some choices so we can see kind of the next development of this, and we can talk about it here on the show once we have some more information. Let's move on because we got lots to talk about, and I'll pull that up here in a second, Calvin, as well. C-3PO is released, at least officially, through Sideshow. It looks like they've now put up their official post as well. Unfortunately for me, release windows lately have felt a little bit long. Now, I know that they're having their Chinese New Year. I think that's got to be pretty close to over, if not over now. So I think these folks are going to be pretty hard at work once again, getting these back out. On the other hand, I do really feel so excited to get this guy finally in my collection. I've been looking at the Sideshow version of C-3PO for a really, really long time. And then when this guy was announced last year, it was like, okay, sweet. I'm not gonna buy the Sideshow one. I'll just wait until this guy comes. Die-cast parts on it there. Comes with like what did the people calling it? The hot dog eye or the penis popping eye? I don't know. Weird like sculpt, not one that I don't think I'll display necessarily, but I think it's cool that it comes with the option. And what's the little guy's name again? It's on the tip of my tongue now. I'm forgetting the heck his name is.
Salacious Crumb.
Salacious Crumb. Thank you very much. I got little Salacious coming with his pillow. I think that's going to be fun just in the Star Wars display in general. So I'm really excited. Now, the issue I'm having most right now is I don't have an R2-D2. So I need some R2-D2 suggestions from the chat, as well as maybe you guys on the panel if you have any R2-D2 figures to either chase or even put my name on a wait list for, because I don't have an R2-D2, and I don't want every version of R2-D2. I want one. I want kind of what I can consider a definitive version. So let me know in the chat, guys, if you guys have a definitive version of R2-D2 I can consider. Marco, do you have C-3PO on the way? Do you have an R2-D2 or a line on one? What are your thoughts there, buddy?
Yeah, first thought is I don't see the dick eye, what everyone's saying, because there's no nuts. So anyways, yeah, I definitely have this C-3PO on the way. I think this is the version that most of us have been waiting for, right? A gold iconic version. I do have a R2-D2. It's the Attack of the Clones version, so I think that one's perfect enough for me. I know some people may say those two cannot go together, but I think it's going to fit really well, and it's going to have just such an iconic presence in the display because those two are meant to be together. And R2 can go with so many other figures. You can put them with Luke, so if they make another one from Return of the Jedi, I can swap them out. So I'm not too worried about where I stand there. The only other thing I will say is I think that we're going to get more C-3POs in the future. I think now that they've put out 2 and really like a really close really close to each other, I think we're going to get other versions. They've invested a lot in this mold, I'm sure, so just don't be upset when they come out with a shinier gold version or the ESB version that comes with a Chewbacca backpack. It's just part of this collecting game. Sorry, Ben, you're on mute.
Hate when you do that. You hate to see it. Even the one with the red leg, which I think is actually from the sequel trilogy, but I know that there are some lovers of the sequels out there, so I could see them coming too.
Right?
Yeah. For sure.
If this one proves popular enough, but yeah, I think it's a beautiful piece and very happy with how it came out.
Now, before I go to the next guy, Marco, you've talked me out of going backwards a couple times in our friendship over the last couple years. Hulk, most recently, you convinced me. I'm gonna wait for an Avengers Hulk. I do think we'll eventually get one again. I hope, but I think buying backwards is a little dangerous sometimes because you can spend quite a bit of extra money and then feel equally disappointed if a newer, sexier version of the favorite character you have comes out. And good luck selling that last one. I was literally pulling the table and the chair out of my DX11 box today because I've set him up with my TVA Loki now. So I've got the computer on the table. I've got his variant jacket like propped over the chair. It's a cool look, and I can finally use some of those accessories. But that Joker specifically, he crashed in value when InArt came out. He was like selling for $1,200. I think if I could get $499 for him now, I think I'd be honestly lucky. Point of all that, there's a lot of figures here that are older school now that I think are up for a reissue here at some point. Do you have any thoughts on whether people should consider still buying backwards on any of these guys, or if they should try and hold tight? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think 2.0s of all of these are coming, right? We talked about Hot Toys not having a bunch of properties to pick from this year because of the writer's strike, and so I think that a lot of things that are either reissues or 2.0 are more on the table than they've ever been. When it comes to collecting backwards, a lot of these are a lot of high dollar value figures that do have their issues, right? Because they're a bit older. Beautiful though. I think if you really wanted to make the full team like Hot Toys teased in the photo that they put up, the blogger photo, go for it if you're able to get some really good deals. I've talked about on streams that there's someone in the community that I've had conversations with about maybe adding a few of these. So I think that it's fair game, but you cannot go into it with your eyes closed because those reissues are gonna happen eventually. I think it's just inevitable. So if you do spend a pretty penny on putting together this team, just you're gonna have to be happy with that decision, and you can't cry over whatever comes down the line afterwards.
Yeah, dude. Well said. Thank you for your take there. And before we move on to the next guy here, Batman _ Collectibles with another $4.99, $10 today in support, dude. Thank you so much for your generosity, man. I appreciate that. He says here, he had a ton of cancellations with the 89 after PO closed, talking about Yost on that 89 Batmobile. And this has to be his biggest hit yet, kind of why I'm concerned. So I think it remains to be seen. I'm hoping, again, I don't want to be wrong on that one, because even if I don't ultimately collect it, I know there are collectors out there who are going to carve a space for that vehicle, and I would love to see it in people's collections, even if I, for some reason, can't justify it in my own apartment. I don't have a house. I gotta buy a house again at some point, guys, and that shit's expensive in Canada. But Batman, I meant to give you a thank you first for your earlier super chat, so here you go, good sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And lastly, for the last super chat you just gave me here, buddy.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Thanks again for the support, man. I definitely appreciate it. Now, Calvin, before we move on with your thoughts on Star Wars here and C-3PO, this is actually what you shared here on the back side, or the back group here with us here in Let's Get Nuts. And this is saying here, this is the Batman display diorama that you were mentioning. The countdown commencing. Production to start March 2024 is on schedule. The Suit Up Vault Deluxe set. And I love this. Now, I like that it looks like it's almost got a bit of a blue light there, eh? So when I first looked at it, I was like, ooh, is that a blue cowl? Realizing that it's black, but with the blue lighting, I think that looks crispy as hell, dude. And again, you can get something like this for $900-ish, or you can get a singular Batman with two hands from J&D for $900. This seems like a really good buy. Is this one, Calvin, that you're trying to get supported?
Oh, it's already ordered.
It's ordered.
Like I said, he I believe back in either October or November, he put it out, and I think he said he was doing 12 slots. So I believe they're filled. Like I said, I'm not sure if he got 1 or 2 cancellations filled that he was doing, but he did do. If you go through his pages, someone had ordered a full Batcave. So he's got the computer, the steps walking up to the Bat computer. He does great work.
I could see myself, like, not currently in my collection and not with this current wife, but at some point in my life, I could see myself building out a custom Batcave, because that just sounds like the coolest thing. Calvin's kind of got the starts of that already, so I would love to have something like that.
Heck yeah. Calvin, what are your thoughts on the C-3PO?
Let me just say this, Marco.
Yeah,
I love you. Please don't make Gigi kill you.
Yeah,
don't make
no, man.
like
It's not worth
day.
it, dude.
Especially not
Every day I
live.
push it a little bit more.
Don't say shit like that.
Oh my God. Marco teased Gigi in one of our private chats the other day, and I was like, how dare you? How dare you go after Gigi in such a way, Marco? You hate to see it. Calvin, what are your thoughts on C-3PO, buddy? And what is your take on buying backwards when it comes to stuff like this? Do you do that? Do you support it? Do you think it's a bad idea? What are your thoughts?
I supported it back when the economy was booming and money was just flowing in, and I didn't give a damn.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
oh yeah.
Fair.
How much? Shit. I get it. Let me get that up. Now I'm like, shit. I'll wait for a remake. So it all depends on economy and how things are flowing. I did last year get this Han, so I did pick that up. Going to Mario's, seeing Mario's OT pieces really did me in, because I hadn't seen anything in person at the time. And then I went to his spot and saw his, and I was like, damn, these really look good. So I have gone back a little bit to get a few of these, but I'm fine going forward now. I'm stretched with too many different IPs as it is, so I don't feel the need to be backtracking. But in my early days, when I was first starting my collection, I did a bit of it. But these look phenomenal though, so kudos to whoever still has these, and especially if they still look this good.
I think Leia would be the one that I'd want reissued at least the most from here, because even the Alec Guinness figure was amazing in terms of his likeness. I never had him in hand, but my friend did, and seeing that figure in person, I was like, damn, that looks so good. And then I've got the Farm Boy Luke up top, and while people kind of tease the likeness on that figure, in hand, I know so many of us say this, but like in hand, I love it. I think it looks like Mark Hamill. They do give him the helmet haircut so they could put his like blast shield display on. That haircut looks hilarious on this figure. I've put some shorts up on the show, but this hair sculpt I think looks great. I think the Mark Hamill likeness, and I've got him with his his blue blade out, and I'm borrowing the Grogu rock base to have him kind of standing up with his leg up as though he's looking into the sun's on his planet. So I think it's pretty cool. Of these ones that I wanted them to reissue, though, it definitely would be Leia at the very least. I also do think that with the new Return of the Jedi Han, that outfit for me, at least in my mind's eye, is close enough to New Hope. That's probably sacrilegious to some folks, but it's close enough to A New Hope that I don't feel like I need A New Hope in order to still fit Han in and make it look good. But tell me I'm wrong in the chat if you guys think so. Guys, we got Nix_collectible here in the chat. He says, sup y'all, good to see you here with us, buddy. Eddie, did you get C-3PO? I know, because I think you got the Han recently, right? Or got the pre-order on the Han. Is that like opened up a whole new floodgate for you, or are you staying reserved? What are your thoughts there, buddy?
A little bit. I don't know about floodgate. It makes me interested in collecting OT again, but I think I just want the best version or my ideal version of each character. Because I'm gonna have Han. I don't really need another Han. So I want at least one representation of every other character, or the main ones, at least the ones here in this picture. Maybe a Vader, maybe Boba Fett. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm definitely gonna wait for reissues or 2.0 versions of them, because some of them I don't know. Like for Luke example, like I really like the X-Wing Luke that they did, and part of me thinks I could just have that Luke and be fine. But then also, like, I really like that the original A New Hope Luke came with the training helmet and everything, and the little like, that's a really cool display to me. So maybe for some characters I would want to, but yeah, I'll definitely go. Either if I end up having money for it and I find a deal, maybe I'd backtrack and be fine. But I really think they're gonna end up doing all of these again, or at least 2.0s or something. So we'll see. But I'm more interested now than I was before Han. That was always my excuse, is like I wasn't gonna do it because there was no Han, and yeah.
That was a tough nut to swallow when we're talking about like I even wore the shirt for it, right? Hate to see it. That Han was expensive. You got to go back there, man. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
absolutely. Single songwriter here says, my Luke has the Stormtrooper belt on with Leia when they're about to swing across the with the grappling hook. That would be pretty cool. Darth Tamaris here with us as well. What's up, Leias? Love to see it. Good to see you here, buddy. Thanks for joining in with us. Guys, we got only one more subject to go through, but let us know in the chat and on replay if you're watching here after the show. Do you support going backwards? Should we wait, hold out hope that we get all these? Let's be honest, even if it was announced today, it's still probably 1.5 to 2 years away from being in the collection. Is that worthy of taking a slight loss on, to have some of these guys represented now with some of the other figures you've got? Or again, wait 2 years with holes in the display. It's hard. I go back and forth all the time, but my New Hope Luke is looking kind of lonely up there. I can't wait to get C-3PO soon. And if you have recommendations on what R2-D2 to get, let me know. I know one of you guys sent me a link already, so I'll definitely check that out. But I need to know what the definitive R2 is for sure.
Didn't they just do? What was it? Empire Strikes Back? It was like one of those 40th anniversary. Didn't they do an R2 in the 40th anniversary line?
No, it wasn't the R2 40th anniversary. It was the Attack of the Clones version.
But they did one. How recent is the R2
just like
before
original
that?
Trilogy. Yeah. Let's see.
There was a. I thought there was a new original trilogy one before the Attack of the Clones one came out. Like not that long before.
Like there was a deluxe, right? I can't remember what it. Yeah, the deluxe. I don't remember what movie that one was from, though. Maybe you might be right on the 40th. But
there was also a sequel, R2 as well.
We said that one, dumbass.
Oh, well, I don't listen very well. So.
He's got nuts in his ears. You hate to see it. Okay. Guys, let's move on here. Superior Spider-Man has come for pre-order anyways from Hot Toys. And it made me think about Spider-Man collections, because I really like my black and red suited upgraded version of the Tom Holland suit. I've got that in the collection here. Really nice looking figure. I added these comic inspired photos of Superior Spider-Man because if you're not in the know at least as to where this character comes from for the Sony game, the Marvel Spider-Man 2 game, he comes from this run of Alex Ross artwork and then comics that ended up being pretty popular with a lot of people. Now, I'll be transparent. I've only read the first Superior Spider-Man. I ended up downloading it on my tablet the other night and read through it. It was actually a really cool read. I didn't know Doc Ock up until now ends up becoming Superior Spider-Man. And it makes me laugh because the picture on the left makes him look like a chunky fella. And he would be he'd be like a box of busted biscuits in the Spider-Man suit. Like, let's be honest here. But then you see him on the right-hand side and he's like really fucking jacked. So I'm like, okay, I wish I could put on Spider-Man suit and look that jacked. In fact, I might try it tonight just for Marco. But guys, what are your thoughts on the Hot Toys figure Superior Spider-Man here? The fact that it is Doc Ock behind the mask, that's a pretty cool storyline if you know and love it, or if maybe you just really liked the game. But lastly, Marco, the question for conversation is, what is your ideal Spider-Man display? What does that look like for you? Because there's a lot of friggin' options at this point. So yeah, what are your thoughts on all that, good sir?
First of all, I don't necessarily need a big connection to the comic source material or whatever the source material is for these particular Spider-Man suits, because just like in the game, they were just a skin that goes over the Spider-Man that you're playing, right? So I almost look at these figures in that way, that it's just a skin for the video game Spider-Man. So it's just a cool, interesting representation of a character that I really love. I think this is great, honestly. I think that Hot Toys could have easily done this in a much shittier version with like less, I'm not gonna say innovation, because it's definitely not innovation, but I like the materials they use. I like the different hands they're giving us. I like that they've kind of adjusted the legs on here to look a bit better. I think pretty much everything about this figure feels like it's just a really good way for them to start down this Spider-Man 2 video game line, and be a nice complement to what we've already got. Now I hope they don't go as deep as they did with the first game, because I think we all kind of got tired of it. But if they're going to choose kind of inspired choices like this is an interesting look that beyond I think the upgraded suit from Far From Home, I don't really know too many times when Spider-Man has this black and red in figure form. So yeah, I think the lenses are looking awesome, the asymmetrical design of the webs, so many redeeming qualities. One that I really want, but I'm not sure that I'm going to go out and pre-order just yet, because I think this is one that I'll wait on. If for whatever reason they start selling out, then I'm sure Pop Culture can hook me up. So yeah, I think it's a really, really interesting design, and happy that they gave this to us, because yeah, it looks cool.
Heck yeah, and a really good clarification here from Nix_collectibles. Thank you, good sir. He says, no, Doc Ock takes over Peter's consciousness and controls him. He's not physically in the suit. Heck yeah, thank you for that clarity, because that makes a whole lot more sense. Although even some of the character artwork that I've seen has him kind of like a little bit thicker around the midsection. So like, does that ever change? Maybe I'm reading the wrong line. Let me know if you can, buddy, for sure. Marco, last question. Sorry, maybe you addressed it and I just kind of glazed over a little bit. I apologize. Donuts, and I'm hungry.
Nut.
Did you have a specific Spider-Man collection in mind? Like, what does your ideal Spider-Man setup look like?
So I am kind of in the process of plotting a Spider-Verse setup. So I've got one Module case that has all my Clone Wars figures, and I'm not a huge Clone Wars head, but I like the design of a lot of those figures. And I think just above that, I want to get one more Module case to have all the villains in the back. So that massive Venom that's coming out, my Carnage, we got Doc Ock, we've got Goblin, right? So Electro, like there's a lot of cool Mysterio, and then have some Spider-Verse Spider-Man in the front. So that's what I'm plotting right now. Who exactly will fit in there, I guess we'll see once I finally put the figures in to make sure it's not too crowded. But I think we've got enough Spider-Man and villains at this point that you can make a really cool display.
Heck yeah, buddy. Well said. The _ Empire Strikes, one of our members here, says, guys, it's been a blast. Have to bounce. Catch the remainder on replay. Have a go one, everybody. Thanks for joining in, man. We definitely appreciate you being here. You were able to catch the majority of the show, and everybody's saying goodbye to him, so happy to see it there. And that sounds like a really cool display. I know, Marco, that you're a fan of the Goblin. I enjoy it as well in terms of figures, for sure. But
in terms of figures,
in terms of figures, just for clarifying, I did reach out to Zach's Wonderland to get actually a 3D printed base for that Goblin glider, though, to get him a little closer to the ground, because right now he's sitting on the desk beside me. I can't fit him even in my Billy display. I think at the 14-inch line or 15-inch line, like he's taller than that on his glider. So I'm like, okay, I got to get that toned down a little bit for sure. But that would be a sweet looking display. Kelvin, I know you're more on the Batman side of things, but this Spider-Man objectively is really freaking cool looking color wise. Display space we talked a little bit about today, because man, this is not the first Spider-Man we're seeing with these badass, claws on the back of him, or arms, whatever you want to call them. What are your thoughts on this figure, and what would your ideal Spider-Man display look like?
Well, my display's right here over my shoulder. So those two cases right there are all Spider figures there, and they've crept in. I've got another one here at the bottom here, and some of my other stuff is here. So I'm a huge Spider-Man fan as well.
I did not realize that, man. I didn't know you had that many.
Right,
that is awesome.
Doc's right there.
dude.
And then
If
Electro.
you could think about it, Calvin has it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have a bad habit of if I want something, I get it. So,
is this one of those figures for you then?
had this been a couple years ago, it would have been PO'd already.
Fair.
Now that I'm part of the Bargain Bros, I've learned and know that this will be on a discount somewhere in some time. I'll just let it sit for a while after it's released. Black and red is by far my favorite combination of colors. I don't know what it is about those two that do well together. I always wanted a black and red bike. I never got one, but maybe in the future I plan. See how you do that, Mark? What's you say another motorcycle? You don't say a future wife. You see how
Good clarity. Yeah.
But no, it looks phenomenal. I mean, as well as the backstory and what the backstory is behind it, but this black and red suit is sick.
So cool.
Plus the tentacle arms as well. Yeah, these. You cannot tell me you can't put this on the shelf and this wouldn't pop amongst the rest of the suits. But yeah, this ever since it's released, I've been wanting to go back to replay the game. I don't even remember if I released this suit or not, but now I want to go after it to go get this suit on the game so I can play it. This is phenomenal. So I'll do that for the time being. Once I get it on sale, then I'll get it in hand as a figure. But I will be playing this in the game again. This is sweet.
Heck
I
yeah,
had the
dude.
same thought, Calvin.
Yeah, well said. And is going to be some new downloadable content coming out pretty soon for it. So we talked about that last week on the show. I think it's in March, I want to say. Like, it's coming up pretty soon. So keep your eye out for that as well, because that might help us just dive. I know New Game Plus mode is going to be on there. So you'll have an opportunity to play with all these suits, likely that you've unlocked, I'm sure, and re-go through it. So that might be your opportunity to jump back in as well, especially if there's some added content. So heck yeah, man. Well said, and sweet display, dude. I feel like you got to share a picture with me so I can put it up on next week collector call out section.
Let me get it cleaned up in here and I'll do that.
Yeah, you do, man. Heck yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us. Eddie Money Mendez, you've been diving hard back at the 1/6 scale lately. But with the exception of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 that you've convinced me I need to get in my collection, to be honest. You were the guy who convinced me I needed it. What does your ideal Spider-Man display look like? And is this one that you have considered? I know you're not the biggest video games guy, I don't think, necessarily, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I was growing up. I haven't been lately. I want to play again, but I don't have a PS5 or a new Xbox, and
Fair.
I bought the first Spider-Man game for the PS4. I played like the first couple of missions. Like, I think the first mission was the Kingpin mission, like they're robbing a bank or something, and I just couldn't get into it. Like, I was bored in the first 10 minutes and I had to go do something else. So I don't know if that's, like, it's been that way ever since Call of Duty. Like, if it's not multiplayer first person shooters, like, I get bored. If I can't yell at people online, I don't think I want to play. If I can't get online and say, you suck, you're trash, then I don't want to.
Fair. That's fair.
But I still have that itch to, like, play games, but yeah, I haven't. But this suit looks really cool. I love everything except for the eyes. Like, I like the wide-eyed Spider-Man, like McFarlane or the Amazing Spider-Man, the wide lenses. Like, I just like that look better. I feel like it looks cooler to me. But I love the black and red. I love the asymmetrical web lines. I love the bright red legs. Everything about it seems really cool. Like, my favorite of the video game Hot Toys for Spider-Man is the 2020 Miles.
Ooh, yeah.
And it kind of has that same color, like the red and black. So, like, I've always wanted that one, and at some point I think I will get it. But I go back and forth on what my Spider-Man collection is going to be, because the biggest thing for me is Toby and Andrew with maybe the villains. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do just Toby and Andrew or have them, like, in the middle with all of the villains around. And I don't even really care if Holland is there. Maybe if I found one for a good deal on the Final Swing suit, I would get it. But that's kind of like what I think is my ideal display, like one shelf on my garage shelf with all the villains surrounding them. But it'll be a long ways away because I don't have a lot of space on my garage shelf right now. I need another one already, and even when I get another one, it's kind of already like the shelves are spoken for, like what I want to do with them. So it'll
Makes
be
sense.
like, who knows when I'll have enough space to do like an actual Spidey shelf. Because right now I think most of my shelves are gonna be DC, like a lot of Batman stuff, which I didn't even think I was that big of a Batman guy, but like I want a whole garage shelf for just Batman stuff. So
Yeah, definitely, dude. Well, the cool thing about Spider-Man, like that I even just take from looking at Calvin's collection there, is that Spider-Verse feel, right? You can have 1 or 2 Spider-Man at first, and you can have kind of a strategic display for it. And then as you progressively pop another Spider-Man in, every time you add a new one, it's like, hell yeah, Spider-Verse. And one of my favorite scenes of the more recent Spider-Man verse movies, like the animated versions, was seeing that headquarters with all of the different Spider-Man type, right? Walking around and like going crazy, walking upside down and stuff. Thought that was really fun. So the more Spider-Man you have, the cooler your Spider-Verse can be. For me right now, my display, I've got the Tom Holland one in with my Marvel guys, and then I'm going to set up my Goblin figure, the classic looking one, with my Tobey Maguire figure, kind of for my early 2000s display version of that universe, despite it being an older Tobey Maguire. But I think that suit paired with the Green Goblin is going to look pretty darn crispy. Now we've got Renz Tolentino here in the chat as well. We were talking a little bit about Beetlejuice earlier, the Jenna Ortega. I've got Renz's Jenna Ortega Wednesday photo here in my collection, and it is absolutely stunning artistry. So if you guys haven't already checked out Renz Tolentino, his artwork on Instagram is on there, and you can place orders with him. Great seller, beautiful artist. I don't know if you have a Beetlejuice already, Renz, but I would be interested in a Beetlejuice, a good Keaton one. Maybe you've already done it. If you have, share it with us, and I'll put it on the show next week. But guys, that's all the slides I have for you today. Just some housekeeping before I go through with everybody here. We do have the Tough Nut membership here at the Ben Thomas Show. You might have seen some of our members here in the chat today with their little badges in beside their name. Many of you guys are becoming Dark Nuts at this point. Some of you guys are still Bat Nut Begins, and we have a few up-and-comers in there as well. Guys, if you're interested in becoming it, that's some of your badges. These are some of the emojis. We also have a couple more emojis. Members, if you can do me a favor, put all the emojis in the chat for everybody so they can see what those look like. I'd really appreciate that, boys and girls. If you're out there today as part of our Tough Nut crew, to shout you guys out, we have Alvin J, Collecting Weekly, Money Mendez, 6 Scale Mafia, Katera, Feezy's Figures, King Dingaling, Sith Scale Collector, Paul Schreiber, The Batman, The Movie Canon, 1/6 Figure Focus, SpongeBob Square, Bowles, The _ Empire Strikes, Peter Cass, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Gist, 14 Wellington, Jose G Hernandez, 12-inch Moose Stream, Collection Obsession, and Blurred Dad Life. If you want to see your name read every week on Let's Get Nuts and have all the cool member badges that come along with it, it's $1.99, guys, and it will help me support the channel. Next big purchase really has to be upgraded StreamYard, so I can stream to you guys in 1080p Canadian. It's about $50 a month. It's a big commitment, so I want to make sure you guys are going to keep coming back and watching and enjoying and getting nuts with us every week. But if you help support, that's where that coin is going to. Mr. Calvin, aka the Low-Key Collector, buddy, you're often on the road. We often get a chance to see you, whether it's in your cool ass truck or here in your awesome collection. Is there anything coming up? Where's the next place we can find you, good sir? And thank you so much for being part of the show today, buddy. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you having me. Again, sorry for being late. The wife. I'm gonna pull the wife tax on that one. If Mario does his trophy chat tomorrow, I believe that. If not, Say What Wednesday on Lael's. Always catch us on LWO. Also, remind everybody, CaliCon is coming up in May. It's right around the corner. So let us know if you're still interested, because we're definitely trying to have a good time this May, Star Wars weekend. So look forward to seeing you.
I'm still trying to get that worked out on my end. Jay Feezy reached out to me the other day. Apparently there's still a slot left in the room. So I'm like, even if it means I have to take a couch at this point, I'd be pretty stoked just to see you guys in person again and go to CollectorCon in California, see what it's all about there. So yeah, definitely keep us all posted if you guys are interested in trying to join along. And again, Calvin, love having you here, buddy. Thanks so much for joining and everything. Even after grocery shopping bags me. I don't know if I'd stream after grocery shopping. I'm like, I need a snack and I need to go play a video game with a joint. But with that said, love you, buddy. Thank you for being here. Mr. Eddie Money Mendez, good sir. Insta-Made Media on Instagram. Some of your recent shorts that you've been posting are awesome, hilarious, and honestly chat-provoking. It got me even kind of going there a couple weeks ago. Anything coming up for you, buddy? Where can we find you next, good sir?
Yeah, I'll be on like Calvin said, if Mario actually does this show tomorrow, I'll be on there. And then CW on Tuesday and the normal LWO Fridays. And so and then as far as my channel and stuff, I'm working on some reviews and stuff. It's been a couple weeks since I put anything out, but I'm just always like, I always second guess everything that I'm making, and I want it to be perfect, and so I'm trying to figure out how to edit videos better and put out better videos, but I'm working on some stuff, so hopefully something's posted soon.
Cool. And I mean, I know you're like, at least from us, you're pretty good with feedback. So like, if people are enjoying the content when you take a look at Eddie, make sure you leave a comment and a like for that stuff, because as creators, sometimes we're putting ourselves out there a little bit. It's hard to know what people are going to like. I remember when I even just recently videoed my own collection tour, I spent days on that video, days. And I was like, what if people hate this video? Like, what if they're like, why did you video everything? Like, what the hell? Thankfully, people didn't say that. But still, it takes some effort and time and thought and a lot of heart and some courage to put yourself out there and make content. So if you guys like it, please support all of the boys here with me. And of course, Eddie, I love you, buddy. Thanks for always being here every week over week. When it's a nothing burger, you still try really hard. And I appreciate that, good sir. Mr. Marco16Fix himself here as half of the GG clan. Let's be honest. She's my favorite part of that show, but I still love your face anyways, buddy. And I'm happy to always have you here. Always jokes aside. What's coming up on 16Fix? I know I just missed Bargain Bin Bros the other day and I was pissed, but tell me what's going on, buddy.
First of all, I see how it is, and this will be my last time on here. But no, Ben, thanks for having me, man. Really good time to hang out with you guys on a Sunday afternoon with no football. So on 16Fix, yeah, check out Bargain Bin Bros. Gigi and I will do another episode of the She Said No podcast. We were just talking about hopefully this week we'll be able to sneak in some time to do it. Probably a late evening stream for She Said No. And yeah, beyond that, like the guy said, LWO, CW, and yeah, again, thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure, man. You guys are the best. You're my favorites. I love to talk all the guys on Let's Get Nuts, all the panelists that come through for me week over week. When I first started doing this show about a year ago now, we're almost at episode 40, which is crazy. We'll celebrate a little on 40 for sure. But almost 40 episodes ago when I started doing this, I didn't think anybody was going to watch, and I didn't know how I would get involvement every week, because it takes time, like I said earlier, to commit to this. I know all you guys have other lives, accountabilities, and all the things. So the fact that you take your time and actually spend it with me here, whether you're a viewer or a panelist, I love your faces. You guys are the best. Let's be honest here. Go and check out all of these guys down below me here on their channels or on the streams that they're on next. And of course, I think, Eddie, it goes without saying, buddy, but we got nuts. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.